Good morning, everybody. I'm Desiree Doubrox, founder of HomWork. HomWork is where you can live where you work where you live, anywhere in the world. And what we do is that we specialize in creating syndications, where people can invest and be able to take part of, invest in properties that are multi-residential, boutique hotels, bed and breakfast inns, properties that we buy, remodel, and remarket for co-living and co-working. That's our niche, co-working and co-living. Then after we get the syndications in the properties, we market them to digital nomads and to remote workers who, again, want to live where they work where they live, anywhere in the world. So I was just about to explain what a syndication is, because for years I thought it was something that was really for just the big guys, totally out of my reach. To find out that syndications are simply where a group of people pool their funds together to be able to buy an asset. And it's really that simple. All the office buildings, the medical buildings, the shopping centers, the apartment buildings, majority of the real estate, especially the larger real estate out there, is done through syndications. Even the big guys that have all the money in the world, the Murdochs and all of them, they pool together their partners and they buy properties together. It's called OPM, other people's money. Now, for you, if you're just starting out, it's a very powerful way to not only invest in properties that you would never be able to necessarily fund by yourself or get financed by yourself or even manage by yourself, but it gets you into properties that you can just invest at whatever dollars is available to you. Many times it's as low as $50,000. And even if you don't have $50,000 in your savings account, you can utilize your self-directed IRAs or your 401ks, your retirement funds, partner with somebody who has that to be able to do it. And now you're invested in properties that you get dividends. Some of the dividends are monthly, some of them are paid quarterly, some are paid annually. But all of a sudden, you make that investment one time, and the managers, which are the managers or the sponsors or the GPs, they work that syndication and they find the properties, they manage it, and they just pay you the money. When they exit, which is sometimes called a capital event, and sometimes that can be either a refinancing or a sale, then the proceeds is split between the general partners, the people that are running the property, and then the LPs, which is limited partners, people that are investing in the property. So you'll get a chunk money at that point. There's all different ways that they do it, but it's a great way to be able to get started in real estate with where you are right now. Now, the reason why you may think about wanting to be a syndicator yourself is because it's a way that you can purchase properties with none of your own money down, none of your own credit down, and you'll be able to actually be able to use other people's money, OPM, to buy this asset. And doesn't have to be a big apartment building. It could be a small house that you want to do a fix and flip on, or a small house that you want to do short-term rentals on, or a condo. I mean, just the whole purpose is to get started, but you manage and maintain that property until it gets to a certain point. Usually the time frames are 3 to 5 years, but they've happened as little as 1 year. If it's doing the fix and flip, they happen anytime that you designate, it can happen. And then you're able to be able to do that presentation and be able to find out that you have people that are going to be able to, that are interested in what you're doing. And then when you're ready, you either refinance the property and you can pay all your investors off and you can keep the property yourself. And then remember, you doesn't have to put any money or guarantee that loan. This is a way to be able to acquire assets and build your portfolio and your legacy without any of your own money or credit. Or you can sell the property and exit it and pay all the investors off and then take your percentage. And as a general manager, general partner, GP, the syndicator, you can get from 10% to you and 90% to your limited partners, 20% to you, 80 to your limited partners, 30% to you, 70% to your limited partner. You can go 50-50, 50% to you, 50% to your limited partners. It just depends on what you're giving them along the way. It depends on what your returns are going to be. It depends on how seasoned you are. I always say if you're just starting, be as generous as you possibly can to your investors so you can build, that know, like, and trust factor with them. And then as you become more seasoned or as they become more comfortable, be able to take a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. But again, like how many opportunities do you have to be able to buy a building, again, whether it's small or large, and not have to put it in your own money? And the reason being is that you create a syndication and people invest in it. Even if you can't qualify for the loan, you can either buy it cash by raising the funds. We bought properties cash, or you could simply get a guarantor. And a guarantor is somebody that specifically loves syndications and they invest. They use their credit, so they would qualify for the loan. So, and people that are specifically out there doing just that, they're looking for opportunities where they can guarantee the loan. Because they get either a percentage of the deal and with no money in it, just guaranteeing the loan, or they get paid a flat fee, or some of them get, like one of them I had, they said they just want to be able to utilize the facilities for a month a year because they did special retreats and they made hundreds and thousands of dollars for these retreats. And that's all they wanted in exchange for being the guarantor of the loan. So there's so many different ways to get involved, but this is definitely a way. If you're thinking about, getting into syndications or just want to know more about it, we do weekly webinars, and our weekly webinars are usually on Wednesdays or Sunday mornings. And just reach out to us. Let's go to Desiree. We have to go to homwork.com, HOMWORK.com. But I would love to hear some from you, who's on the line, questions you may have, where you're from, what you're doing. I see there's participants here, so come on, talk to me. And the attendees. So, who's here that has been in real estate, that's involved in real estate, that has, I see someone's raising their hand. And if I don't see it in the chat, okay, I'm here. Iva's here. Great, Iva. Welcome. Okay. Sounds like you are ready to go. Okay, so I have the pleasure of introducing to you our very first speaker today. And they call her the Apartment Diva. Is that what I heard? Apartment Diva. It's Iva Mishra. She's an MBA and a CPC, an executive. For over 14 years, she's been property management business, also business consulting and HOA management, as well as real estate and asset management experience. She is a certified business coach, a franchise consultant, helping businesses grow by achieving goals. Iva continuously shares her knowledge and time with the local business community, nonprofits, and school districts. Well, good morning. Good morning. How are you today?
Unmute me. Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Can you see me?
I can see
We're
you.
having a little bit of a hard time seeing you, Eva. Can you please turn the light on, perhaps? Sorry, Desiree.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm turning on the light. Let me see if I can share my screen. First of all, I sincerely apologize. I kept going back and forth with the Zoom link. It just kept taking me back to the original registration page. So I do apologize. When we least expect it, things happen. So that's, let me just really quickly put up my share screen. Yeah, let me put up my share screen. Is that better? I don't know why it's so dark.
Well, if you have your presentation, we'll probably see more of that than you, maybe.
Okay, let me pull it really quickly up. I appreciate it. Again, I apologize, uncontrolled things.
No, thank you for sharing your Saturday morning with us.
Okay, all right. Let me pull it up. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, perfect. All right. Where there's a will, there's a way. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I know I have an hour, but actually I do not anymore. So I will be speaking a little bit faster than anticipated, but I do apologize. Technical issues happen when we least expect them. My name is Eva, the Apartment Diva Mishra, with my wonderful company, Blue Ocean Capital, as you can see on the screen. My husband, Dr. Chandra Mishra, and I are the managing partners of our wonderful company, and we are based out of Dallas, Fort Worth. Let me see. Okay, let me give you a little introduction about who we are. I know a lot of you already, and likewise, but let me give you a little bit of information about Blue Ocean Capital. First of all, Blue Ocean Capital, we've been in business for, we've been doing the real estate multifamily syndication for 15 plus years. We've invested in over 2,300 units. We are in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. I, along with being a multifamily syndicator, I am also a business performance coach, and I'm very involved in my community and my schools. I'm on the board of directors for several community community events, as well as school boards and things like that, because I like to give back my knowledge, what I have. I like to give back to my community. Let's see, our why. So our why is to provide safe and clean apartments for our tenants. If you've ever had a landlord, if you've ever lived in an apartment, or you currently do, you know that you want to go home to a safe place. You want to go home to a clean environment. You want to go home to a great community. And that's what we provide through our apartments. Our real estate journey, investing journey, basically started with, we began as passive investors. Never do this alone, especially when you're new. Work with somebody who's already been doing it. So, you know, it's a great, that way you have a mentor and coach along the way. One of the things that, you know, we learned every component of multifamily syndication to arrive where we are, which is basically we have asset management and property management, acquisitions. We have everything under our belt under the Blue Ocean Capital company firm. Can everybody still hear me and see me? Just want to make sure.
Yes,
Hello?
everything is fine,
Okay.
Eva.
Perfect. And I do want to make this engaging with our audience. So if anybody has any comments or anything they want to add into chat as I present, I can't see the chat, but I would be more than, I know Linda or someone will let me know if anything pops up in the chat as we move forward. So thank you, everybody. Let's move on. So let's say, what stops you from having your dreams? You know, a lot of the times we have lack of resources. For example, time, money, knowledge, health. You can add to this list, you know, in the chat if you would like, you know, other barriers. We get lost, we get confused, we're unsure. Well, barriers are like a door that is locked. If you can find the key, and if you have the key, keep trying. And if you don't have the right key, then you can definitely find another way to enter. Don't let barriers get in the way of doing anything, whether it's investing in real estate, whether it's starting a new job, whatever your weather is. If anything is worth doing, then we will find a way. For example, great example just right now with me trying to log on to Zoom. I found a way. I got on my son's computer. I said, son, help me. I need to get on here. I need to do this thing. And here we are. So don't let doubt, worry, anxiety get in the way of anything you do in life. You know, there are other barriers, you know, time requirements. Sometimes we think we don't have enough time to invest in a property, invest in multifamily, invest in any type of real estate. Well, you have to make the time if you really want to. And another thing is, you know, lack of knowledge sometimes gets in the way. We think, oh, well, we don't know anything about multifamily. We don't know anything about duplexes. We don't know anything about hotels. Well, there's oodles and oodles of information you can learn before you start your journey. And one thing I focus on is your health and your age, your wealth. Your health is your wealth, basically. So take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, nothing else really matters. Investing, doing anything else, doing a great job, none of that matters. So make sure you're making time for your health, because your health is your wealth. All right. The way I'm going to approach this is I'm going to talk about goals. And goals is an acronym for me for investing. G stands for growth. O, overcome obstacles, achieve, and L, life and work balance, and S is success. So under growth, we can talk about things. We can only move forward if we are growing. Isn't that correct? We can't be stagnant in life and wonder why we're not going anywhere. Overcoming obstacles. I overcame a really big one to be here right now. And so face obstacles as opportunities. Achieve. You've got to plan things and then execute, because when we fail to plan, then we just fail, right? Life and work balance. Make time for yourself. Like I said earlier, work is very important, but so are you. And success, staying focused. Make sure you are staying focused on your goals. Now, let's look at each individual. G is growth. Growth can be via education, professional development, innovation. Education, What I mean by that is reach out to those who have already doing what you're doing. There are so many books you can read. I like to read books as far as my professional development. There's so many books on investing. There's so many books on just personal growth, professional development. There's so much information out there, and innovation is another one. Think outside the box. Maybe you've tried something in your investing arena that hasn't worked. Well, think outside the box. What else can you do? What else have you not tried yet? So think outside the box, keep up with upcoming trends in real estate if you are investing already, or if you're a new investor. Keep up with everything. Keep up with the education, the professional development, and definitely keep up with the innovation. Linda, if you get anything in the chat, please do stop me. I don't want to ignore, but I can't see the chat.
No worries.
Overcome. Thank
We'll
you.
just save the questions for after your presentation.
That sounds great. And I am going kind of fast to make up for my time. So here we are. Overcoming obstacles. Overcoming obstacles can include things like overcoming fear, overcoming failures, overcoming emotional decision making. And what do I mean by that? Well, fear is false evidence appearing real. Or we can see fear as finding empowerment amongst resistance. Sometimes we have a fear. What if? Those what ifs creep up, right? And we say we become fearful, or we start thinking before we even do anything, we think we're going to fail. So don't let the past determine your future. Even if you failed in the past, it's okay. It was just a mistake. And I see mistakes as mistakes, MISSTAKES. So a mistake is okay. If we're all perfect, which none of us are, so let's just be perfect at being imperfect and grow with each thing that we overcome in the form of obstacles. Again, whether it's fear, failures, or emotional decision making. So you may be wondering, what do I mean by emotional decision making? Well, that's those impulsive decisions we make. You see a great real estate opportunity, but you haven't done your homework. You haven't spoken to too many people about it. You haven't gotten any kind of feedback, but you jump into the deal. And then 2 years down the road, you're like, oh shoot, what did I get into? So make sure the decisions you are making, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life, make sure they are not emotionally charged, because when we're emotionally charged, we tend to do spontaneous, and spontaneous, unfortunately, can lead to unfortunate outcomes. Let's see. All right, now we're on the A of my goals acronym, which is achieve. Create a plan. Take the first step. And we've all heard this. This is nothing new. Your network equals your net worth. So create a plan. Develop a detailed investment plan that includes timelines, budgeting, target markets, target properties, and strategies for achieving your goals. Then you have to take the first step. We always know the first step is always the hardest, isn't it? But once you take that first step, the next step is so much easier. Then the next step is so much easier until we get to where we're going. And remember, real estate investing, it's also a journey. It is a destination, but you have to go on the journey to get to the destination in real estate investing as well. I know Chandra and I, we've been up and down so many roads to get to where we are. We've tried things. We still have things to try. So, just take the first step. And network always equals your net worth. Build a network of professionals, industry experts, mentors, attend events, go to conferences, read books. The saying, we are like the 5 people we hang out with the most. So in your professional life, if you're growing your investment portfolio, or if you're a beginner, you need to hang out, be amongst those that are already going where you want to be. So your network equals your net worth. So keep that in mind going forward. Life and work balance. You have to prioritize tasks, avoid burnout in order to lead to productivity. So when I say prioritize task, you need to make sure what needs to be done first. What is it? Is it get up in the morning and meditate? Is it get up in the morning and answer all your emails so you can have a productive day and not be on your emails all day? Avoid burnout. You need to have time blocks where you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to search for investment opportunities from 9 to 12 p.m. And then I will stop and go for a 20-minute walk. Or I will stop and just maybe even have to take a nap. Do something to where you are balanced so you don't have burnout, because burnout leads to nothing. And make sure you set boundaries, because saying no, as a mom, as a businesswoman, I have trouble saying no. And that leads me to burnout from time to time. I'll commit to things and then I realize, oh, maybe I could have said no this time. So therefore, I could have said yes to something else. And so just keep that in mind when you are feeling burnt out. Prioritize, avoid burnout, and that would lead to productivity. And when you're trying to be productive, avoid distractions. Don't be on your cell phone. Don't, if you're on a Zoom call, then totally be here and the now. If you are on a conference call with potential investors, give them your time and attention. They're looking to invest with you. They're looking to trust you. We do business with people we know, like, and trust. So when you're being productive, just be productive. Do not get unfocused. Let's see. Success is the S of goals. Resilience, long-term vision, and persistence. Resilience. Resilience is acknowledging and celebrating your resilience, knowing that you went through something like I did this morning, and here I am. I've bounced back. Here I am presenting to this great audience. Here I am working with Linda, who was working with me to get me on here. And so resilience is bouncing back, whether it's a life issue or whether it's a business related issue. Learn to bounce back, because nothing is ever the end. As long as we are alive, nothing is ever the end. So make sure you're able to bounce back. Don't be so hard on yourself if you fail. Don't be so hard on yourself if you do a mistake. It's okay. You can take that step again and correct it. No big deal. Recognize your strengths, and progress from that. Long-term vision. Make sure your long-term vision, you have a vision statement, you have a vision board, you have daily affirmations, you have people in your corner supporting you for your vision. Make sure your team, I know my team knows our vision for Blue Ocean Capital. We know what we want to accomplish. And my team, whether it's my property managers, whether it's my VP of operations, whether it's my marketing team, they all know Blue Ocean Capital's vision. Where are we today? Where do we want Blue Ocean Capital to be 5 years from now? So make sure you have a long-term vision. You can go day by day, which is okay, but you do need the long-term vision in order to even go day by day. So make sure you have a long-term vision. Persistence, keep at it. Like I said, if you keep at it, you're only going to get better from where you are today to tomorrow. Whether you invest in multifamily, whether you invest in hotels, storage space, whatever you decide to invest on, or whatever you are currently investing in, stay with it. Don't multitask, because being persistent, you can't multitask and be good at everything all at once. I know people say multitask. I'm a mother, I'm a business owner, and I try to multitask and I catch myself. I can't keep up with one task if my mind is also split amongst other tasks. So do not multitask. And remember, be persistent, measure your successes, and learn from your mistakes. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now that we have covered all of the G.O.A.L.S, I'm going to take you on the journey for the investing journey. Now, this is just general information. It can be used for any type of real estate investing, not necessarily just multifamily syndication. I, of course, speak about multifamily syndication because that is all I do. But this is general knowledge that can be applied to everyone on this call, whether you're a beginner, whether you're been doing this for years and years like I have. So define your investment objectives. What does that look like? Well, clarifying your goals. What do you want to accomplish? You have to look at, when you put your goals together for investing, you have to look at things like property, demographics, rental history, long-term wealth building. What are your objectives? Why do you want to invest? As I said at the beginning of my why was to leave a legacy for my children, leave generational wealth for my children, give a great place for tenants to live, giving my investors a great ROI. Those are my objectives for investing. I'm sure yours might be some of the similar, and you may have some unique ones. Do share in the chat and we can discuss those later. Gather information, dive into real estate knowledge by studying marketing trends, investment strategies, financing options. Make sure you look into all the legal considerations, look into the SEC regulations and laws, make sure you are following them to the T. Assess your finances, evaluate your financial situation. How will you be able to do this real estate investing when you look at your finances? Make sure you look at your risk tolerance. Make sure you have determined an investment budget before you proceed. You want to make sure everything is in line before you start investing. Okay, let's see. Create an investment plan would be something, would be the next thing. You want to create a strategic plan. You want to have people on your team that are going on the same journey as you. We have had people join our team in the past before, and we thought they were a good match, and then down the road we realized they weren't, and we had to separate ways, which is okay. But make sure you have a great plan. Make sure you're researching your potential markets. We're in Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth. So we're in a really good market as far as multifamily syndication. California is a great market. Arizona is a great market. Atlanta, Georgia is a great market. So make sure wherever you are thinking of investing or you want to continue to invest, research your potential markets. Make sure there is growth going on there. Make sure there is great potential there, because you don't want to get stuck in a market where you can't sell later or you can't invest more. You can't continue to invest. Another thing is build the network. As I said earlier, build a network. Surround yourself with people that are going where you're going. I attend several multifamily syndication conferences a year. I also speak at several on an annual basis because I want to be around those that are doing what I'm doing. There are people that are behind me and there are people that are ahead of me. So I learn from those that are ahead of me, and then I try to teach the people that are trying to come up to where I am. So, the idea is to pay it forward. I learn from the best, and then I give back to those that also want to be the best. So make sure you build a network, gain insights, build a supportive network. My Blue Ocean Capital team is phenomenal. We have our daily meetings every day. We talk about what we're going to be accomplishing at each of our apartment communities, and then everybody goes about their day and gets things done. And everything is transparent. We text each other, we call each other. Clarification is monumental in any investment that you do and in any investment property that you manage. Okay, let's see. Am I doing okay on time? I know I'm going fast, but okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Continuing this journey, find investment properties. You have to look at location. I can't say that enough without sounding redundant, but you have to look at the location. Where do you want to invest? We personally, all of our properties are within driving distance from my home here in Texas. I have personally made it my priority to go visit all my properties on a regular basis. I am the owner, therefore I am responsible to everybody. I'm responsible to my investors. I'm responsible to my management team, my marketing team, any team that is under the Blue Ocean Capital, I am responsible for. So I make it a point to find investment properties where I can literally drive to and see what's going on, because it's one thing for your property managers to say, Eva, this is going on here. And it's totally different for me to go there and see, oh, okay, I see what you mean about the roof. So you have to be involved. So make sure you're finding investment properties. I always say find ones where you can drive to, or at least have a managing partner that is in that market so they can help you manage that property. They can be on the grounds, walking the grounds. Conduct your due diligence. Make sure when you are looking to present an investment opportunity to potential investors, make sure you've done your due diligence. Make sure you have checked out everything. Make sure you've done the inspection of the property. Make sure you've, done the potential walkthroughs. Make sure that you've looked at all the zoning aspects. What if you want to build more units on that property? What will that require? What will it require to add a playground? What will it require to add a swimming pool? Make sure you are up to date on all of those things when you're doing your due diligence, because you don't want to have any surprises once you own the property. Again, whether it's a house, whether it's apartment communities, hotels, whatever you are investing in, make sure you conduct your due diligence. And securing finance. Explore financing options. What are you going to do? Are you going to do a private loan? Are you going to form an LLC? Are you going to set up an investor portal and have accredited investors provide the funds? What does that look like for you? How will you secure the financing for your investing? What will that look like? Will you use your self-directed IRAs? There's so many ways to secure financing. Make sure you choose the one that works for you. One, it's not a cookie cutter method. What might work for Blue Ocean Capital and our accredited investors may not work for you, depending on what market you're in, what kind of investors you're working with. So make sure you have a way of securing the finance, so when you do start the investment, you are ready, set, go. And of course, as I said at the very beginning, growth. Growth is so important. Otherwise, we're just bystanders in our lives and in our businesses. And you want to be a participant in your business and in your life. So make sure you manage and grow your portfolio. Once you've closed, what we always do is, we buy properties with our accredited investors. We manage them. We just added self-management as of last year. And so I know every single one of my property managers. I know every single one of our marketing team, our maintenance crew. I was involved with hiring them. So therefore, I know we've hired reputable people. And therefore, I know they are managing our properties, not only just for the owners, but also for all our accredited investors. Because at the end of the day, I answer to our investors what's going on when they look at their quarterly distributions and say, hey, Eva, what's going on? What's going on? Why did I get this much? Or why did I not get this much? I have to be available. I have to be able to have the answers. So in order to grow and manage your portfolio, you have to make sure that everybody is on the same page. And what we have repeated investors. Once you do a great job leading investors, then they're going to come back to you. They're going to say, Eva or John Doe, please tell us next time you have an offer. We would like to be considered as an accredited investor on your next property. We have several investors that are repeated investors in our properties because they trust us, they like us, and they know us. They know Chandler, they know me because, as I said, we get out, we attend workshops, we speak, we do whatever we can to help and manage and grow our portfolio. That way, you can also be part of our family and grow with us. Now, mentor and coaching. As I mentioned at the very beginning, not only am I a multifamily syndicator, I'm also a business performance coach. So I am always available to everybody to mentor and coach, whether it's about real estate investing, or it could be simply, I don't get along with my children. Well, okay, I can help you with that, but I'm more of a business coach. But I also feel that when you're talking to your business coach clients, eventually they do bring up their life. Because if you're having a bad day at work, it may trickle to home. If you're having a bad day at home, it can trickle to work. I know I've been a witness to that. If I've had a bad day at home, I may not be as productive at work, or vice versa. If I've had a long day at work, I may just be really short at home, not want to talk to anybody when I get home. So it's good to have a mentor, coach, and accountability. Have someone that will hold you accountable to your goals. Have someone that will help you to manage and grow professionally and personally. That is so important. I'm a business coach, but I work with coaches that help me to go even further than where I ever imagined I would be today. And last but not least, I have been trying to breathe through this presentation just because I had the hiccup earlier. If nothing else, just simply remember to breathe. You are a human. You are not a robot. You can only accomplish so much in 24 hours. And just make sure with everything that I have said that you are breathing, because if you are going from one task to the next, you're shortchanging yourself. You know, make sure you're breathing, make sure you're acknowledging yourself for everything that you are doing, whether it's investing in a property, whether it's taking care of your household, whether it's taking care of your health. Remember to simply breathe. Life is not as serious as we make it. Remember to breathe. Remember to laugh. I laugh a lot. I laughed during this presentation, and I'll probably laugh after this presentation, because life is about simplicity. Do not make it more difficult than it is. There's that phrase I've heard lately. It's called "keep it simple, stupid." So I don't like the stupid word. I'll think of another S word eventually, but for today, I'll say keep it super simple. I think that sounds better. So just remember, keep it super simple in your life and in your business. With that, let me see. I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I hope in this presentation, although I did have to speak fast and I went fast, I hope this gave you a little gist of what I do on a daily basis. I try to inspire you. I try to inspire potential investors. I inspire our current investors. I inspire my children. I inspire my husband. I inspire to do my best for myself. And along the way, I'm going to make mistakes. Gosh, we all are, but that's okay. We can still inspire and still make mistakes, still have failures, still have fears, and still be successful. Imagine that. So I was going to ask if you wanted to type in the chat some takeaways you got from my presentation today. That would be wonderful. And we can definitely connect. Here's my contact information for not only just me, but my wonderful husband of 27 years, Chander. Here's our contact information, and I'm sure Linda has already shared all the contact information prior to this. But if you would like to, whether you want me to coach you, whether you're looking to learn about how to become an investor in multifamily syndication, whether you're looking for coaching, whatever you're looking for, let's connect. Let's do a 30-minute call. And my number is right there. If it's easier for you to reach me via phone, I answer my phone calls, 817-458-8399. I'm always available, and I love to help people go forward in life, don't become stagnant. And I like to go forward with people. I like to be able to say 2 years down the road that I helped John Doe become a successful investor, whether John Doe ever invests with Blue Ocean Capital or they don't. I'm just glad that I was able to play somewhat of a small or big role in their lives to move them forward as an investor and as a human being. With that, here, I wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you. This picture right here is actually one of our properties in Haltom City, Texas. It is a very nice, very wonderful area right next to schools, right next to a police station, right next to a fire station. So we chose this property based on everything that I have mentioned to you in my presentation. Location, location, location. We looked at rental history. We looked at what kind of management was done at this property before we became owners. We did all of that. We did due diligence. We did everything you can think of. And now we own this wonderful property, and we have for the last several years. So what we normally do is we acquire a property, we hold it for 3 to 5 years, and then we sell the property. But in the meantime, our accredited investors receive a quarterly distribution based on their investment amount. Our minimum investment amount is $100K and then on up. So if you are interested in working with us, please do reach out to me, or you can reach out to Chander if you know him too. Both of us are on the same team, so it won't matter who you speak to. There's our contact information. And I just want to thank Linda, and I want to thank Realty411 for giving me this opportunity this morning to connect with all of you. And I just say, as the Nike logo, Nike tagline, just do it. Again, I am Iva, the apartment diva, Mishra, with my company, Blue Ocean Capital. I look forward to connecting with all of you really soon. And again, thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning. Thank you. That was lots of information. So,
Thank you.
can you hear me? I have a question.
We're hearing an echo coming from you, Desiree.
From me? Okay.
Maybe it's on. It's fine now.
Okay. Is it Niall? Good. Okay, so I have just a question. So the properties that you buy, how do you source them? Do you source them yourself or you go through realtors? How
So
do you?
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we normally work with real estate agents and brokers, and when something is on the market, they will come to us and present it to us, and then we do what we need to do if we're interested. Again, back to my presentation, due diligence, checking out the property, talking to the current owner, or things like that before we make any kind of an offer.
Fantastic. And so all of them in your Dallas used to close to your area?
We are in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. We do have a couple of properties in Houston as well as El Paso, but as I mentioned earlier, we have chosen properties where I can literally drive to and go check on the property, go check on my management team. Sometimes they like my surprises, and sometimes they're like, "What are you doing here, Eva?" Either way, I'm going to show up. Sometimes I schedule an appointment. Sometimes I say, "Hey, I'm here. What are you doing?" And sometimes they're surprised, and sometimes they're like, "We were expecting you, Eva, the apartment diva." So there's that. Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
awesome. I mean, anytime people,
Yes.
it's a good way to do that because that way you're able to
Right.
see things that are in this natural form. Then I haven't had to
Right.
check it.
Right. Right.
Same.
Yes.
So anyone else have any questions? I would gladly. Thanks for the inspiration. What market areas have you tried and what you could do to avoid? So there's a question from an anonymous as to what real estate markets have you
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
what real estate markets have you tried and you wish you could do over or avoid in the future? So that was a question from
What,
somebody in the chat. Like, what markets other than the Dallas-Fort Worth market have you tried and that you wish you could do over or avoid?
honestly, this is a biased answer, but we have really not really tried any other markets. We did own a property in Phoenix, Arizona, but that was when we were passive investors. When we were just now that we're GPs and we're doing the whole 9 yards ourselves. We're presenting the offers. We are exclusively in Texas right now. Does that mean that we won't explore other markets in the future? No, that's not what that means. But for right now, Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas is a huge market. It's not quite as saturated as some other markets. So we're sticking to this market for right now. But thank you for the question.
And then someone asked, could you repost your contact information? Can you repost in the
You
chat your
froze.
contact information? Can you repost your contact
Oh,
information?
yes, I can do. Yes, I can definitely do that. I'll just put my phone number for a quick reference since we are running out of time. But like I said, you can text me at this number or call me and I will be available. We're always looking for accredited investors to join our team. But we normally have a 30-minute call with me or someone on my team, usually it's me, and then we kind of assess, because one thing you want to remember is just because somebody wants to be an investor with you doesn't necessarily mean that they are a good fit for you. You have to make sure you filter out. We have had investors in the past where I felt like I was babysitting them. Every day I was getting a phone call or something. So you want to have people that are self-motivated too. And you also do want to have those that ask questions, but make sure when you choose investors that you've done your homework with them also. Don't just choose investors because you feel, okay, I need to get my 5 million. I need to get my 5 million or something. So make sure you are working with people that are going to take you forward and not hold you back.
And I think that's really important to realize that some people
Yeah.
don't realize that they're being interviewed as much as as much as important for them to prep you or vet you as a
Right.
sponsor, it's important for you to vet them, interview them
Right.
as an investor, because not all money is good money.
Money. Exactly. Exactly. You're right. You're right. And the money as well as the human being, you just want to make sure, that you're checking off everything before you take on somebody as an investor. So, and same thing, what you just said too, Desiree. Yes, you want to make sure that people you're working with, they like you, they know you, they trust you. And that's why Chandra and I are out and about promoting Blue Ocean Capital like crazy, because then people get to know us.
It's a relationship.
It's a relationship thing. Definitely. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing and motivating
Yes.
everybody. I hope
Anything
everyone,
else or?
well, your contact information is there, and I think we're
Yes.
okay. Thank you so much.
All right.
Saturday.
And again, I apologize to everyone. I can't apologize enough, but it worked out fine. I still finished at 12 o'clock. I spoke faster than I normally do, but we got it done. That's about life. Just do it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, next we have is Bruce Mack. He's a trust advisor, he's a savings advisor, he's a licensed financial advisor, he's a real estate investor, as well as someone who is a speaker, business consultant and a author. Good afternoon. How are you doing today, Bruce?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing?
I'm trying to gather all these different headlines and all these different magazine covers. Looks like you've been around for quite a while.
Well, I guess that's how I have my gray hair, Desiree.
You've earned it. You mean you've actually earned it?
I'm just lucky enough to say that I still have some left.
Yes. Well, it's always experience is going to be the best teacher. So I'm sure you're going to share that with us today. So thank you so much and take it away.
Fantastic. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to be on this training webinar today. I have a lot to cover, and we're going to be covering subjects that you guys have never even heard of before. So I think you'll find it to be quite interesting. You may want to take notes. I encourage you to do so. And at the end, we're going to give you contact information where you can get a complimentary consultation with me on a one-on-one should you wish to. So just to recap, I am a trust advisor, savings advisor, licensed financial advisor, real estate investor. Heck, over 1 3-year period of time, I bought, rehabbed, and flipped over 160 properties. Been involved in over $92 million worth of real estate transactions. Business consultant, speaker, and author. And let's see here. Okay. So we're going to talk about our savings paradigm. We are a company, I always like to say, a company of companies, meaning that we have many different company relationships with that are specialties in the given areas that we're going to talk about, that you could also find some fantastic savings on doing the very same things that you're doing on a daily basis, just by having us have that conversation and being able to plug and play the services that we have in, which for the most part are strictly on a contingency basis, meaning you pay nothing out of pocket and we strictly save you on expenses that you're incurring that we can get rid of and or crush and minimize significantly. So one of the things we're going to be talking about is tax credits and tax incentives at both the federal, the state, as well as the local level. B2B cost recovery services, meaning business to business cost recovery services, absolute asset protection and tax mitigation trusts. We're going to spend some time on that. We're then going to also talk about advanced tax mitigation strategies, which don't necessitate the implementation of a trust, a strategy that you'll find to be very, very interesting. And we're going to talk about how you can book a call with me on a direct one-to-one basis. So we'll start off talking about property tax credits. Now, everyone who owns a property, unfortunately, unless you want that property foreclosed on, you're paying your property tax. You may also have commercial properties, which many of you do, and therefore you're paying huge taxes on an annualized basis. Well, one of the companies that we work with are experts at disputing those tax bills. They know exactly where, how, and the whys to be able to reduce the perennial annual tax bills to a fraction of what they are. In most cases, we see up to a 25 or more % decrease when we go in and we dispute the taxes based upon giving live examples, rational responses, and therefore getting the desired response, which is to lower the tax bills. The company that we work with, 23 years of experience, having amassed over $3.7 billion of obtained tax credits by lowering tax bills. And during that time, there have been 0 IRS disallowances. So let's talk about another area that is very prominent in being able to dramatically reduce bills for people on their taxes, which is called cost segregation. You can save an average utilizing a cost segregation study instead of taking the normal either 27.5 year on residential or 39-year, if you will, depreciation schedules, save an average of $150,000 per $1 million in purchase price. Now, not only can you save those monies and do a cost segregation studies on personal residences and or on investment properties, but you also have the ability to do this on commercial properties. And you also have an ability to do this on what a lot of people aren't aware of, commercial leases. So the fact that you can do this where you're putting in TIs, meaning tenant improvements, and let's say you put $100, $200, $300,000 into doing TIs on leased property, these could easily be prime prospects for being able to do a cost segregation study. This increases cash flow by accelerating the depreciation. And there are things called bonus depreciation credits, where not only do you get all of the 27.5 year or 39 years crammed up front, so you take it immediately, but you also get an additional in 2025 for properties purchased, an additional 60%. So this is a win and another win on top of the win. You receive your cash today. You may not even own the assets for 27.5 years or 39 years. Likely you'll have sold them. So you get the full advantage today instead of the potential advantage over a long period of time when it's not as useful for you and money just isn't worth what it's worth today. So let's again talk about property tax mitigation. Property tax is usually the largest recurring charge for owners. Average savings between, as I said, 10 to 25%. Don't just accept the county assessor's assessment. People do, they take it at face value, they see it as a bill, they pay it. But realistically, when you work with us, you have the ability to not have to go out of pocket, allow us to do the dispute on a contingency basis, and we only pick up a fee based upon the percentage of savings that we're able to accrue for you, the client. All fees are paid contingency, no savings equals no fee. Next, let's talk about another tax credit that most people, they strictly just aren't aware of. It's called the WOTC credit, or Work Opportunity Tax Credit. It's been in existence since 1996, and it's for new hires, which pay you, the employer, anywhere between $2,400 on the low end up to almost $10,000 for all new qualified hires. Most people that are employers qualify for a minimum of 20% of their new hires will qualify for these WOTC credits. Again, it's a minimal amount of paperwork. We work with you and show you how to get it submitted so that you get these massive checks from the government in terms of tax credits. This is a huge program, and it's if you will, a program that has been around much, much longer than the PPP loans, which are now gone, and the ERTC, which are the employer hires for employer retention hires. If you had employers during the 2021 timeframe, which are fading away and almost completely phased out and will be within the next coming months. Another tax credit that you may not be aware of, one that is fantastic depending upon what it is that you do. And many of you are real estate investors, absolutely. And some of you have developed systems. Some of you also own and operate other businesses where you could be in line for what's called an R&D tax credit. That stands for research and development. And it's a tax credit which averages over $25,000 per $1 million in company payroll. So these can add up very, very fast. These can be received from any of the following. Maybe you're involved in doing some development or improving of a product or a process. That puts you in line for an R&D tax credit. Maybe you're involved in doing engineering or design or testing work to increase the performance or development of a product or a service. And or maybe you are doing some software development and or have incurred programming costs. All of these things lead directly down the path of being able to qualify for an R&D tax credit. And some of these tax credits that we have seen are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year range, and they don't just come one time. These are reoccurring tax credits that one can qualify for. Cost recovery automation services, the fastest way to reduce expenses and recover overpayments. We have over 25 years of experience recovering $350 million plus for our clients, and we'll get into more specifics. One of the greatest ways to increase profits is to increase workflow automation. And one of the ways that we do that is through the programming and taking processes that people are utilizing on a daily basis that are repetitive. A perfect example would be people who utilize CRM management tools, data entry, reporting expense management, customer support, invoicing and payments, inventory management, doing cost analysis and or proposals. Anything you're doing manually that we can automate that process and or you're doing repetitively, we can automate that process, which frees up underlings to be able to do better and higher tasks that they are involved with to bring in more dollars to your bottom line, while we take over the heavy lifting on the repetitive tasks through creating a workflow automation. It's very simple. We can talk about setting up a discovery call, again, no cost, to see if a workflow automation might be right for you or someone that that has a business that is doing repetitive tasks. Maximizing your ability, your employees' time, revenue, and releasing them to be able to be involved in more revenue-generating activities and quit manually inputting data into spreadsheets, CRMs, ERP, et cetera, systems. Now, one of the beauties here is we have found that the average company, when we do a discovery call and they get started, they end up picking up 2.5 workflows, automations. These are implemented, these are put in, these are things that our coding staff take care of. And even if you don't have an IT department, we do all the coding. And the beauty is, in one of the USPs or unique selling propositions with workflow automation, is that the workflow automations are not charged up front or even incrementally during development. There's nothing charged up front or during development. After the workflow has been created, after the installation has been done, after you're up and running with the new workflow automation, at that particular point, Then there is a monthly reoccurring, if you will, fee for utilization of the workflow that we have created. So it's a win-win, zero out of pocket up front. You have all the assurance that it's going to do what it's supposed to do. And the comments, the feedback that we get on workflow automation has been fantastic because the guys perform, they have the goods, and they consistently upgrade the ability, effectivity, and therefore profitability of the clients that they serve. Here's another one of the over 100 services that we have that where we're saving companies money like yourself. There is a Visa MasterCard settlement recovery going on. If you were a merchant and took MasterCard and Visa anytime during the years of 2004 through January 2019, even if you shuttered the business several years ago, you deserve your slice of the 5.4 or 5.5, I should say, $1 billion settlement and recovery. This is huge. This is going away, meaning that if we don't get the paperwork in within the next several weeks, you're going to be on the outside looking in going, why didn't we take care of that? So this is the largest settlement of this type ever. It's a massive class action suit. Again, we walk you through everything. We've recovered $200 million plus for tens of thousands of clients, including household names and Fortune 500 companies. Get what you're owed. Many clients have not either gotten notification, which was sent out the tail end of last year and in the December timeframe, and or they got the wrong notifications in many cases. For instance, if you have had more than one merchant account over that period of time, you should have gotten multiple notifications, one for each merchant account. And or what we've consistently also seen is the number that they got on the notification, if they even got a notification, was a fraction of what the amount should have been. And this is where we get to work for you to make sure that not only do you get the settlement, but you get the maximum amount that you are deserved, which is what we fight to get for all of our clients. And we do an outstanding job. And again, this is all done on a contingency basis. You pay nothing out of pocket. We pick up a joint part of the savings that you're going to receive of that big fat check that you're going to receive, and that's how we get paid. So we collect nothing, you pay nothing. We collect, we are partners in getting that profit. Credit card fee audits. Now, many of you also have a merchant account today because you have a side business or you utilize it for collecting rents, so on and so forth. But unfortunately, you're not getting the best deal you can. Conversely, and I know this from being a regional manager with the bank many, many years ago, where we set up merchants for MasterCard and Visa. People are adverse to change. And even if somebody came into my business and said, I can get you a better deal on your credit card fees, allow me to quote, you'd be very possibly hard pressed to change because you're worried if you're going to be getting your money on time. You're worried that you're going to have to retrain your employees. You're worried about this. You're worried about that, whatever the case may be. Well, here's an opportunity for us to go to work for you. Again, zero out of pocket, only done on a contingency basis, where we will fight like heck to go to your existing credit card processor to get your fees lowered. And in so doing, there is no out-of-pocket cost to you. And when we are successful and we get those fees lowered, we will get this done with an agreement with them. And we will get this done where you do not need to change your processor. So stay with your existing credit card processor. You have nothing to lose. Let us go in there and fight the fight for you. We know exactly what to say and how to say it. We'll get the fees lowered. You'll be the winner, and everybody ends up with more money in their pocket at the end of the day. Now, certainly, if you're unhappy with your current credit card provider, we can certainly talk about taking alternative steps to get you with a new provider. But this program is not contingent upon changing credit card providers. Stay with your existing one, and we'll get in there. We'll do the audit. We'll get you better fees. Workers' comp audit. Now, many of you have employees, and you're paying outrageous workers' comp premium fees. Over 70% of the companies are overpaying on their workers' comp, which is absolutely crazy. Founded in 1990, our service provider has saved over $27 million in receivables by lowering and going back and getting rebates on paid premiums. There's a high probability of recovering overcharges you unknowingly have overpaid for years. Ensure you're not overpaying and that your insurance carrier is applying every possible method to reduce client costs. You pay nothing out of pocket ever. 5 to 7 year policy look back period gives us the ability to really get out after it and get you a substantial amount of recovery. And no insurance carrier change is required. So stay with your carrier. Again, like with the credit card providing service that we've talked about, allow us to go in, look at what's going on, find the problem, cure the problem, and get you a nice big rebate. Now, let's talk about our trust. We have our proprietary asset protection and tax mitigation trust. Our trusts offer asset protection, tax mitigation, generational wealth transference are the cornerstones of what our proprietary trust is about, as well as complete privacy. Something that currently, where most of you are utilizing LLCs and have registered agents and such, you just can't get that. It is so easy these days to find out who the true owner is, and then have somebody who is looking to get into your back pocket come after you with both guns blazing. A common trust that you may currently own, and you may say, hey, Bruce, I've already got a trust. I'm good to go. And likely, if you do own a trust, the type of trust that you have is what's called a living trust or living will, created during your life. And it's very good for the limited use that it has. The limited use is that it is a good tool for probate avoidance, and it also works for naming who the beneficiaries are. But they cannot, by design, because these are grantor revocable trusts, offer asset protection. They cannot, by design, offer any type of tax mitigation, which are really the other cornerstones of what our trust provides. So on a daily basis, we take clients who do have living trusts and or living wills and incorporate those into our trust so that everything works together, giving those other components as well. So let's take a look at what a platinum trust is all about versus the other solutions that are out there that you may be utilizing one or more of. First of all, we do have the ability to, as you can see, eliminate capital gains on sale of your properties, and or if you have a business that you're looking to liquidate or businesses that you're looking to liquidate, we have the ability to eliminate capital gains. Defer income tax on the passive income in perpetuity. Now, what is an example of passive income? One example would be rental income, would be a perfect example of passive income, and we can defer the tax liability in perpetuity. What do we mean by that? Simply stated, the trust, if nothing else, has an automatic distribution provision in the concert with the laws of perpetuity, which means it will distribute 21 years to the day after the death of the last sole surviving heir to the last sole surviving beneficiary. Well, our trusts are also meant to be multi-generational wealth transference tools. So by design, and not unlikely, the trust will inure or last for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's really academic as to when it does distribute. One thing is for certain, as stated previously, everybody who's directly and or indirectly associated with the trust, they will have passed on. They will have had to have passed on for 21 years. Therefore, there is no liability that transcends to a downline generational person. Avoids lawsuits, absolutely, because you cannot collect on a lawsuit for a lien, levy, or judgment for trust assets. It's impossible. Avoids probate upon death, avoids gift tax, avoids estate tax, ensures beneficiaries' assets are transferred. Again, multi-generational wealth accumulation is a cornerstone of the trust, and avoids annual fees because there are no annual fees, like there are with state filing fees for LLCs, which if you're in California, for each LLC that you may have, and if you have one for each property, oh my gosh, that can be very expensive. You're looking at over $800 and I believe $30 for each LLC fee in California alone. Ironclad asset protection for your business and your personal assets. Closely held LLCs and corporations do not protect you. One of the most basic and simple arguments that's used to pierce the corporate veil is alleging that the owner has created a facade for controlling the entity. They call that the alter ego, if you will, prosecution. Corporate formalities is another way to, if you will, blow up an LLC because people have not gone to the extent that they should have to do meetings, record them properly. Things are not in order as they should be. And when exposed, that blows up and disallows an entire entity. Small business owners mistakenly write checks. We see this all the time, from the company account to make personal payments. That again is a major no-no. So any one of these things can undo your LLC or LLCs or S corps or C corps, as the case may be. And I can tell you, because personally, I had a lawsuit many, many years ago from a seller who was in pre-foreclosure, and it cost me $175,000 to learn about these things. I don't want it to happen to you. And I can tell you that alter ego was alleged. It was a crock, but nonetheless, it was alleged because I had an LLC at that time. How often does piercing succeed? Well, according to studies, the corporate veil in 46% of the cases when litigated are successful. So you're looking at roughly, if you were to go to court, a 1 in 2 shot that they would pierce the corporate veil, setting it aside, and therefore having a clear-cut access to your assets. So I'll tell you a short story. I've got a few minutes. And this is how I got sued for $175,000, or I lost $175,000. I was sued for more, an undisclosed amount because of the potential penalties. I had a door knocker. I was living in Las Vegas at the time, and he met up with an individual who was a couple of weeks away from foreclosure and told him about how we could do an equity split with him, relocate him, and offer him several of our key services so that he wouldn't end up with a full foreclosure and no money in his pocket. He loved what Bill had to say, and he said he wanted to come to the office, but his car was in the shop. So Bill offered him a ride took him down to the office. I sat down with him and several cups of coffee, and a couple of hours later, he was thrilled, wanted to move forward. We did the paperwork. Everything was great. A week later, I get an inch thick lawsuit that shows up on my doorstep. And in it, several of the allegations, which were staggering to me, were number one, that he was alleged that he was kidnapped, which of course was a crock. Bill offered him a ride down to the office. He alleged that he was forced under extreme duress to sign the paperwork. Never happened. He also alleged that he was highly intoxicated at the time of signing. He was as sober as a judge. He had been drinking coffee the entire time that he was there. Nonetheless, I said to my lawyer, what do I do? Well, he said, you've got two choices. I said, okay, what are my choices? He said, well, choice number one, you sign him back the property and you go on your way, but understand that he didn't have a pot to piss in the first place. So likely the house is going to go to foreclosure. And then his snarky lawyer is going to amend the complaint and come after you not only for everything that he was alleging in the first place, but for a wrongful foreclosure and try and financially take you apart. I said, okay, what's choice number two? Choice number two is you pay the tens of thousands of dollars to reinstate his loan and pay off the liens that he's also got. And you continue to pay the mortgage, the gardener, the pool guy, and any other associated expenses with the house for who knows how long until you guys can come to some sort of an agreement for a settlement. I said, this could go on for how long? He said, I have no idea. I said, well, what else have you got? And he said, well, unfortunately, Bruce, that's it. You either let the house go to foreclosures and be ready for the consequences, or you do the reinstatement. Well, I can tell you guys right now that what I decided to do was to reinstate everything. And many, many months down the line, we were able to negotiate a settlement. And when it was all said and done, it was $175,000 out of pocket. But if I would have had a trust at that time, and I knew the strength of the trust, I would have 100% opted to do the first option, which is to deed him back the property, let it go to foreclosure, because he would have not been able to get a lien, levy, or judgment executed against me going forward. Reverse veil piercing is even worse. Veil piercing is, as discussed, reverse veil piercing is when they can't get reciprocity from the LLC that you maybe had a property in that they were suing. Well, then with reverse veil piercing, they can go to any one of your other LLCs. Many of you have been taught the multiple LLC strategy, which is one LLC for each property. Some of you followed that. Some of you have taken multiple properties and put them into one LLC, but you always have in the back of your mind the thought that at the very worst, they're only going to get the one property or that group of properties you have in the one LLC. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not necessarily the case, because if the award warrants it and reverse veil piercing is in effect, which frankly, every state that I have looked at over the last year or so, they all have reverse veil piercing allowable. And therefore, they can go to the next LLC, to the next LLC, to the next LLC, and pierce those to be able to get the full reciprocity. So this could even be worse for you, and certainly something that you don't have to worry about should you have a properly constructed trust. So shield, protect your businesses and your family against lawsuits, judgments, levies, liens, claims, divorce. These are all things that are covered with a properly constructed trust. Let's talk about the tax mitigation and or the tax savings component. Are you planning to sell your property or properties, your business, your home, or any other of your assets exclude 100% of capital gains using IRS compliant trusts. People talk about 1031 exchanges. We are absolutely a not advocate of a 1031 exchange because 1031 exchanges are like delayed tax bombs. Do you avoid the taxes today? Yes, if you do a 1031 exchange. However, if you're even able to get a 1031 exchange, and we see about 30 or more percent of those blow up where people identify a property but aren't able to close on it. So that's another problem. Then they incur all the tax wrath. But even if you get into a 1031 exchange, you're not eliminating the taxes, you're deferring them. You're deferring them until you sell that next property. And when you sell that next property, not only do the taxes come due for that property, but for the previous property, which is the one that you put into the exchange in the first place. So this is a kick the tax can down the road strategy, which really does not work well, which is why we advocate a trust for the tax elimination. Legally reduced taxes, trust defers and minimizes income and estate taxes to the fullest extent that the IRS allows, between 78 to 100%, zero gray area, zero capital gains until the trust is distributed. We talked about the trust distribution, and we're able to simplify the accounting process. People think that setting up a trust is going to be a complicated matter and going to be mind bending, if you will. And we simplify it. We have people get set up literally within a number of weeks. We have the proper training, we have the proper guidance, and we work with people so that they are, after they're set up, actually more comfortable utilizing the trust than pre-trust. Tax avoidance is legal. Any attempt to reduce or minimize or alleviate taxes by legitimate means is possible, is permissible, I should say. 60 of the largest companies, including Amazon, Netflix, and IBM, perennially pay no taxes on pre-tax income in this particular study of $79 billion. This includes people like Jeff Bezos, which actually got a $160 million refund in this particular scenario. And as you know, Rockefellers, Kennedys, Romneys, Trumps, these people all have trust. The question is the trust right for you? I can't say that it is. I can't say that it's not. But by meeting with me and having us have a candid discussion, we can together make the decision if a trust is right for you, and that it makes sense to get one implemented. Heck, the Kennedys even had an article that was published in Forbes magazine, how the billion-dollar Kennedy family fortune defies death and taxes. And a sentence from the article said capital gains taxes could potentially be deferred for forever. Kamala Harris, I happen to be watching Fox News, and this popped up, and I just took a quick picture of the TV. Keeps assets in a tax advantage trust. So these are not uncommon. The fact is that we take the time to do the due diligence to make sure that it's the right decision for you. All of these things, health, maintenance, education, and support are all trust expensable items. And as you can see, in terms of expenses, standard tax return, you don't get much help. Likewise, all of these are 100% on the right trust expensable expenses, including your home, which you want to put, that is your personal residence, in the trust. And therefore, instead of the only write-off that you have is the mortgage interest payment, the entire mortgage payment, the entire property tax payment, whatever is left after we negotiate a lower one for you, all other related payments, utilities, your insurance payments, it goes on and on and on, that virtually all payments related to the residents are trust expensable payments. Again, we can speak about this more in depth should we do a one-on-one. Trust expenses versus a taxable distribution. Well, let's talk about the fact that you've got children and that you want to pay their college tuition. Again, I said health, education, maintenance, and support are absolute trust expenses. Here's an educational, if you will, example. So there's two ways you could pay college tuition for Johnny or Jill. You could either pay the kids, give them their $20,000 for their admissions cost, and have them put it in their checking account, and then have them go to the admissions office and pay the admissions fee themselves directly. If you did that, that would be a taxable distribution. They would get a K-1. Or you can, on behalf of the trust, because they're a beneficiary, you can make the payment directly to the financial institution. And therefore, it is a trust expense. Now, likely that's the way you would be doing it anyhow. I'm just trying to show you how a trust expense is a trust expense when done properly versus a taxable distribution. How do I get money out of the trust? Well, you'll convey your assets to the trust. You'll be taking back a demand note. We'll sit down again. We can cover all these things in much more in person, but questions that commonly come up. Well, can I buy new investment properties in the trust? Absolutely. Can I buy a boat that I might want to use in the trust and have the ability to use that boat? Yes. Boats, RVs, jet skis, properties, other businesses, all these things can be and will be trust expenses that are permissible activities. The perfect administration, what the administration is doing, and you might have heard about in the last couple of days, they're increasing taxes. They've created inflation and or stagflation and or what I affectionately call, and you probably noticed this yourself, shrinkflation, where packages are becoming smaller or the contents that are in the packages are becoming smaller, yet it's costing more. In 3 years, the estate tax cap is scheduled to go from $12.9 million. Actually, it's 2 years now, to $6 million. So this is another huge problem that you don't want to leave the burden of an estate to your heirs, and you're looking squarely, potentially, if your estate is larger than the new reduced cap, this could be a huge problem where 45 to 55% of the estate goes away to taxes. Enjoy maximum privacy. Trust prevents information about your assets, liabilities, heirs from becoming public, assuring the highest level of privacy. Our trust has the same constitutional rights as any individual, the right to privacy, freedom, unwanted search, seizure of all other rights. Advanced non-tax strategies. Let's talk about a strategy that is not interdependent upon a trust, yet it is a 10-to-1, if you will, ratio in terms of tax credits that you can get. It's an equipment rental tax reduction strategy. You have the ability to offset high income and capital gains taxes and generate significant monthly cash flow. It's Section 179 approved through the, if you will, through the Internal Revenue Code, which allows immediate business expense deduction, or IRS works with these types of transactions and is used to these types of transactions. 179 has been around for years and years and years, related to depreciable assets such as business equipment, where you have the ability to finance 90% of the equipment purchase price. What type of equipment are we talking about? Well, first of all, we're talking about equipment that you'd make that ultimate decision. They could be tractors, they could be end dumps, they could be lifts, they could be whatever they are. And again, you'll have a huge list should you decide to engage in this type of strategy, and you'll pick the equipment because it's going to be your equipment. The minimum purchase is $300,000. We get 90% financed, therefore you're out of pocket for 10% or $30,000. That's it. But you get the maximum leverage of a $300,000 investment. Ergo, $30,000 investment purchases $300,000 of equipment for depreciation. Ergo, you get a 10-to-1 tax leverage. Now, 30,000 is the minimum. We have people engaging and literally doing millions of dollars utilizing this strategy and re-engaging with this strategy on an annual basis. The equipment is then rented through the National Equipment Rental Company in the U.S. with 200 locations. They are the largest, so they're fabulous. They do a great job. A question that oftentimes comes up, well, what if my equipment sits stagnant and isn't being rented because it's up in, say, South Dakota, or what have you? The fact is that can't happen because they aggregate all of the equipment at all the locations, and you get the utilization of the average amount of days that the equipment is rented for, which is roughly about 50% of the time, which yields you some fantastic income. And therefore you receive a monthly equipment rental income, which is annualized at 1.5% a month or 18% annually. You also receive additional payments equivalent to the monthly principal and interest payment for the equipment loan. So your cash back from the equipment rental company, which has never missed a payment and going on 10 years with this program. You also get the 1.5% per month. You also get the 10-to-1 tax leverage. This is, and very possibly could be, a great program for you. And this might be something that, should you be interested, we can certainly set up a subordinate call to discuss this strategy in more depth. So, bottom line, you've seen a number of tax saving strategies and different programs that we have that we're involved with that we can save you on existing, reoccurring, either monthly and or annual expenses. I'm going to suggest that you grab your cell phone, if you would, and take a picture of the QR code and of the screen where you can get a complimentary consultation. You can either go to platinumsavingsgroup.com, or, and you can write this one down, a direct calendar link would be bruce.platinumsavingsgroup.com. That's direct to my calendar. Or you can certainly call if you're having any issues getting on the calendar. That's a direct line, the 702-371-2345. Or you can take your camera and strictly hover it over the QR code that's on the screen, and that will take you right to my calendar where you can book a complimentary consultation. Bring all of your questions to the table. I'm there for you, and we can talk about your specifics, what your situation is, what you're looking to accomplish from a goal standpoint, an income standpoint, a retirement standpoint, a forecasting standpoint. We can talk about any of these things, and frankly, we can talk about all of these things. That's really it. I'm done a few minutes early. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to listen to the various strategies that we have. Let's talk about getting as many of them implemented as you'd like on that one-to-one structured call. Back to you, Desiree.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's lots and lots and lots of information. Does anyone have any questions in the chat that you should share? I am looking. I don't see anything as yet. Any questions, any ideas? Everybody has any all his information? So, Bruce, you make it sound so easy. So it just seems like it's just about having the right advisors, having the right direction, having someone like yourself who can walk people through these processes.
I oftentimes, when I do webinars like this, don't get any questions because people want to hold off on those questions until we have a chance to have a one-on-one. So that's not uncommon, Desiree. And I do try and make it as simple as possible, not only to understand, but to implement, because the implementation is everything, so people get the maximization on these different strategies. And it really depends on what an individual is doing, both in their individual investing and or their business investing, where we can be strategic and help them get to the next level and keep as much money in their back pocket as possible, because that's always our end goal, as well as giving them maximum privacy and protection.
And as they say, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, you know.
True, Desiree, truer words were never spoken. You can make a ton, but at the end of the day, if your bank account's at net zero or minus because your expenses exceeded the income, where are you? And that's just not who we are, where we want our clients to be.
Exactly. And sometimes it's just, people, it's just a matter, like you said, of just applying the right processes, being able to have access to the information and to the experts like yourself, the advisors, and having them lead you the way. And some people think they can do it all on their own, and they don't, then they complain about paying too much taxes. So they just need to know that there's advice out there and professionals like yourself that are willing and able, to work with them. I think
There you go.
there we go. So thank you so much. The questions, any other ideas that people have in the audience? We are a few minutes early, so we're real open to, before our next guests come on board, to kind of answer questions, ideas, theories that you may have used. I know there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Hi, Desiree. There are a couple of questions in the Q&A section.
Okay, let me
Would
walk
you
you.
like me to read them? Or
Yes, that would
okay.
be awesome. There we go.
The first question is, can the trust be used to buy real estate using the self-directed IRA? I
I
guess, can the trust be used?
Okay, so the question, well, let me answer that question in a more global fashion. The genesis of the question is can I use my self-directed IRA to buy properties for my trust?
Yes, correct.
And the short answer is IRA transactions, 401k transactions are prohibited transactions for the trust. So what do most people do, or many people do? And again, this is a decision that's made as a course during the course of discussion. There may be a course of discussion to liquidate the IRA or 401k. Now, sometimes it absolutely doesn't make sense for somebody to do a 401k liquidation because they would potentially be looking at a 10% penalty plus the taxes that they may incur that year. However, depending upon the tax strategies that we use, those likely could be mitigated. So it's not an all yes or an all no answer. Plus, it frees up the cash to be able to use for investments. So that's when we would need to explore. As far as the self-directed IRA, the challenge with the self-directed IRAs that we have seen over the years is it's much like if you will, the 1041 deferral. You're not getting rid of the tax. The tax is being forestalled. And if you are like so many people today, looking in your future to be making more then than you are now, it might not be the best path to be on, because between age 73 and over the next 10 years, once you turn that age, you'll have to completely liquidate everything. And you're taking sections or tranches of that money and liquidating it on an annual basis, where you're paying the deferred tax at that particular point, plus all the tax liability on the upside from those investments. So again, it's not a short answer. These are things that we need to look at and see if it makes sense to liquidate or not. Take the lumps now because of the future upside. Utilizing a trust, we are not going to have the tax implications or not, as the case may be. But short answer again is you cannot utilize the trust to buy properties for a self-directed, for IRA transactions. They are mutually exclusive, as well as 401k funds.
Well, that's the advantage that you're offering is a private one-on-one consultation, because everybody's situation probably varies in the different types of
We
funds.
do,
Thank
and
you.
that's absolutely the case, Desiree. These are things that we need to sit down and have one-on-one discussions on what's the best path.
Yep, I appreciate you not, leading somebody incorrectly. So it is important for anyone that has any interest, find out. You have nothing to lose.
Sure.
QR code, find out, talk to him, and he'll be able to share with you the strategies again. Like, are you going to become out better with your retirement funds or better with an investment, and be able to compare the two and see. Again, the taxes are huge, and that's the whole dance.
And
That's the whole
if
thing we dance around.
if you're 58 and a half, Desiree, then you wait for 1 year till you're 59 and a half, then you have successfully circumvented the 10% penalty for taking those funds out of your 401k. So
Wow.
again, it's what's right for one person might not be right for another person, depending upon what their age is or their age is going to be coming up. Another consideration, now that we're talking about 401ks, is a lot of times people think that 100% of the money that's in their 401k is not accessible because they're currently working a day job with that employer. Now, that is not necessarily the case. What people oftentimes overlook is that they worked at another company previously to the company that they're currently working at. And when they left that other company, they rolled over, they might have taken the option to roll over the monies from the old company's 401k that they were participating in which case there may be 100, 200, 300 or more $1,000 that they could have access to today. But they think that the old money from the old company, when rolled over to the new company, also meant that they do not have free access to the old money that they rolled over. It just ain't so. They can go to HR and they could get that money. They can have their hands on that money immediately. And if they feel they can do a better job with that money, so be it. But this is something, again, a lot of people are not aware of what they have right to, because they think that all that money is lumped in together and they can't have any access to that money until they leave that company, their present company.
You're right. And there's so many different misconceptions about it. And that's why it's important for them to have a consultation with you. It's complimentary, so they know what questions to ask the HR. Because I found that even some HR departments don't know all the details. They give you one blanket answer to a question they think maybe you've asked, and maybe they don't know your individual situation. So having
Agreed.
meeting with you, really putting everything on the table, having you to give them and advise them specific questions to ask and specific moves to make. Then they can go to their HR or their custodian, whoever's handling their accounts, and then be able to advise them correctly. That way they're powerful and they're able to tell them what they need to happen and how they need to make the move. Because not every HR person is as educated as you are.
But the right question asked in the wrong way is going to get the wrong answer, is what you're saying, and I agree. For instance, going to your HR department saying, "Can I take money out of my 401k today?" The answer is going to be no, you can't. But the question is not that question. Question is, can I take money out that I rolled over from my previous employer? So it's a question of structuring the question properly to get the desired response. And I couldn't agree with you more, Desiree.
Yeah, well, you gave them an opportunity to get that, to make those moves. So make sure you use your QR code or take down his phone number and call him and then you'll find out the information. It's worth it. It'll save you. What it will save you could be huge. I mean, again, and you hear people all the time saying, well, I'm not able to do that or it didn't work for me and so forth. Again, like we said, maybe it wasn't the right question and they got the wrong answer. And it's simple. You're offering an opportunity for them to get the information. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So now I guess we're getting ready for shortly our next guest. And I want to make sure, yes, make sure you get the information for Bruce's contact phone number and QR code. And again, the big advantage of being exposed to opportunities like this that Linda makes so available for you is powerful when you utilize the resources. You know, she's giving you opportunities to connect with people that can actually make a big difference in your industry real estate career. So take advantage of it, take the information, take the content, access to the to the consultants, and then you'll be able to be further ahead. So good morning, good afternoon, Adriel. How are you doing today?
Good morning. For me, it's good morning. For many of you, it may be good afternoon.
Where are you
Doing
joining
very well. How
from?
about you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm great. Where are you joining us from? Are you in Southern
I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay, fantastic. Well, just to tell everybody a little bit about you, that you are the CEO of ICG, and that's a prominent real estate investment firm located in the San Francisco Bay Area. And since 1983, you have successfully been assisting thousands of investors with purchasing U.S. properties. Through ICG, you've personally invested in hundreds of properties for your own portfolio and involved in the purchase of over 10,000 properties for ICG investors in Phoenix, Las Vegas, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami, Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Atlanta, Nashville, Huntsville, Boise, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Salt Lake City, just to name a few. Oh my goodness. Is there anything left?
You named a few.
And you hold a master's degree from Stanford University, and your professional experience includes the management and the director positions in firms including Hewlett-Packard, Excel Telecommunications, and biotechnology firms. Well, that's enough to keep you busy if nothing else is. Yes?
Yep.
So tell me, how did you keep track of all those properties and those investments? They just keep coming, don't they?
Well, I mean, once you understand the rationale as to why to buy certain properties and how to hold them, keeping track of them is not complicated. I mean, when you own single family homes and they have 30-year fixed rate loans and you have local property managers managing them for you, keeping track of the properties, when I owned just a few dozen, I would do it myself. At first with an Excel, then with a QuickBooks or a Quicken. Later, when I owned a very large number of them, I actually have my company's bookkeeper also does the bookkeeping for the properties. It all depends on the scale, but people who buy less than 10 or 15 homes can just do it themselves. Not even QuickBooks, even Quicken, which is super simple. It's like a checkbook. It would be good.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you seem to have accomplished it all. So do share. Tell us all about it. The stage
All
is
right, how long do I have?
an hour,
All
lunch, right? Is that good?
Yeah, that's more than good. It's fine. All right, so I will begin, and thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Desiree, really, and it's a pleasure to visually meet you. And please send my warmest regards to Linda. I've always enjoyed speaking to I'm finishing an article for your magazine, which Linda is waiting for. And the article is really about what is cash flow really. And I'm just finishing it up. People have a very wrong notion of cash flow. I'll talk about it as I speak, but it should be up in one of the subsequent magazines. So going back to the start. So here it is. I mean, I come from a high-tech background. I was a researcher and a developer in Silicon Valley, software developer. I taught at the university, and then I got my first job at Hewlett-Packard Labs. When I got the job with Hewlett-Packard Labs, they paid me much more than Stanford did. So I thought I was a young man getting paid very well. Yeah, I used to be a young man. And I looked at my colleagues at HP Labs, and some of them were veterans. They were 50 years old, even 60. And I thought, whoa, they must be really wealthy, working here for 30 plus years, getting paid this enormous salary. It looked like an enormous salary to me. And they must be wealthy. When I started to get to know my colleagues, I realized they are not wealthy. They own their own home with a mortgage and a 401k. That was it. I said, there's no way I'm going to work here for 30 years and look like this. Financially, since I grew up in a family of real estate developers and I was exposed to the power, I said, okay, I'm going to have to build my own empire using my good credit and my good salary. So I discovered certain things, which I will share with you very shortly, which led me to see that investing in single family homes, and I'll talk about why that is, can change my future. So I started buying single family rental homes. Now, that was in the 1980s. Back in the 1980s, everybody was only buying rental properties within 30 minutes drive of where they lived. That was the rule. Everybody was doing it. So I was doing it too. I was living in Palo Alto, California. So I was buying in Silicon Valley. I bought in Sunnyvale, in San Jose. However, even in the 1980s, although the numbers were much lower than they are today for everything, you know, inflation and stuff, the ratio between rent and price was not good in Silicon Valley, like today. So after buying a few rental homes, I saw I could not build an empire here in Silicon Valley. I just couldn't. So I said, well, I'm going to have to break this rule of the 30-minute drive and go somewhere else. So I did a little research. Now, in the 1980s, I didn't have the web. Yeah, www did not exist. And Sergey Brin and Larry Page, I believe, were in kindergarten at the time. But I still was doing research with Stanford and HP Labs. You know, I was working with both, and I had access to the ARPANET at Stanford. That's the precursor to the internet. With a little search, I discovered that if I go and I fly for 90 minutes or so from San Francisco, I would land in a smaller city by the name of Las Vegas. I quickly saw that I could buy homes in Las Vegas that cost about 1/4 of the Silicon Valley home. But the rents were more like 1/2 of the Silicon Valley rent. Obviously, these numbers worked a lot better. So I started flying to Vegas every weekend. Took me some time to find my bearings. I always looked a little younger than my age, so back then I looked like a boy. They were very skeptical of me in Las Vegas. They thought I was going to waste their time. They saw this crazy boy from the San Francisco Bay Area. Nobody was buying homes far from home, especially not in another state. Oh, no way. So they were very skeptical of me. The first thing I did was I started to interview local property management firms, because it was clear to me if I start investing in Vegas, I was living in Palo Alto, California, I would absolutely need a property management firm to manage my homes. So I interviewed firms, and finally, after a few months, I had one that I really liked. I was still nervous because I didn't have a chance to test them in the field yet, but at least I liked them. And then finally, a broker took pity on this crazy boy and said, okay, I'll find you homes. And I started buying. Well, I'm an aggressive guy when it comes to things like that. And indeed, in the first year of buying, I bought 22 homes in Vegas. Now, before you get too impressed with the number 22, and also if you promise not to laugh, I'll tell you that the average home I bought in Vegas back then, in the 1980s, the home cost $39,000 for the whole house. You know, different time, inflation, okay. Not only that, but Fannie Mae back in the day was not limiting the number of loans an investors, you know, a person can have to 10. There was no limit. And they enabled me to buy, even as an investor, putting only 10% down with PMI or private mortgage insurance, which I did. Because even though I was making a good salary, cash was my scarce resource. And also I wanted my dollars to work as hard as possible, buy as many properties as I can. So now it doesn't seem so difficult to buy 22 properties when they cost $39,000 a piece, and I'm putting only 10% down plus the closing cost and PMI. So my colleagues in Silicon Valley were making great fun of me throughout this first year. What are you doing? You're buying out of state. Nobody buys out of state. You're crazy. But when they saw me after a year with my 22 homes, the logic of the engineers prevailed, and they saw and understood. They say, we understand what you're doing. We want to do it too. And I said, you really should. In my opinion, you're really going to make a huge difference in your financial future if you do that. Go do it like me. And they said, you know, we're very busy here in Silicon Valley, just like you. You're already there with your homes, with your managers. How about you lead us? I wasn't expecting that, but I said, sure, I'll lead you. So I led a group of about 20 engineers. And over something like 3.5 years, we bought around 250 homes. Not as a group. She bought 6 homes, he bought 4 homes, I bought 2 more, etc. But I made a very trivial discovery that even the very cautious engineer who bought just 1 home as a test, to be careful, enjoyed the clout, the power of 250 homes, because the service providers, the managers, the brokers knew if he wasn't happy with anything, he would complain to me. And now I wouldn't be happy. And every manager in Vegas was calling me at that time, come to us, we are better, we are cheaper, we are nicer. Who doesn't want to manage 250 homes, plus the many dozens we may buy in the future? Simple. Now we jump into the present. 40 years later, been doing it for 40 years. Same thing, except my investors bought more than 10,000 homes in about 30 markets. And we have markets where we bought 1,000 homes, 2,000 homes. We even have one metropolitan area where we bought more than 3,000 homes. Same story, just a lot of clout, local property management firms. I'm still our biggest investors because it's very clear to me that those things are unbelievable. And soon I'll get into explaining exactly why. And it's the same thing. So now when friends come to me, or some of you might, I simply connect you to the infrastructure we have in a given city, and you work with the same brokers I work with, and some of them I've been working with for 30 years already, or 20 plus years, and the same property managers that I use myself. And we have the clout of 1,000 homes, even though you buy just 1 home. Very simple. Now, what makes investing in single-family homes so special? When I began, I learned something that blew my mind about what happens regarding real estate in the United States. It blew my mind. I still have not recovered from this bit of news. I've already written 7 books. I was on television. I did a TED talk, a TEDx talk, everything about this crazy thing. And turns out Warren Buffett is fully aware of that thing. He and I were in touch in 2012. But no other American is. I was shocked. Why? There's a great gift given in the United States, which to the best of my knowledge is not given in any other country in the world. And because people in the United States were born looking at this gift, they think it's normal. They don't think it's special. The name of that gift is going to be familiar to you. It's called the 30-year fixed rate loan. So you're thinking, what? We know about this. What's so special here? It's unbelievably special. So the way to illustrate how special it is, perhaps, is to describe what happens when I speak in Europe. So I tell the Europeans, my American investors can get loans called 30 years fixed. And they said, well, what does it mean? I say, like the name implies, the loan payment, principal and interest, never changes. It is always, always fixed, despite inflation. And also the loan balance, how much you owe, even though it goes down a little bit all the time with principal payments, also never keeps up with inflation. The Europeans don't believe me. They think I have my facts wrong. They say, I can't believe this. This is too good to be true. It's not possible. Let us prove to you with logic why it's not possible. They say, you have inflation in the United States, right? Right. All the time, right? Right. Sometimes lower, sometimes higher, but all the time. 30 years ago, you went to the movies in New York City for $2, right? Today, you go to the movies in New York City for $16. 30 years ago or so, you bought a postage stamp for 4 cents. Today, they want to raise it now to 72 cents. If you go to Whole Foods right now and you buy a beautiful organic avocado, it's going to cost $2.25. You know, we know, everyone knows, in 10 years, the avocado is likely to cost $4. Why? Inflation. Constantly, the dollar buys less and less and less. So you need more dollars to buy tomatoes, avocado, to pay rent, houses, everything. You want to tell us that in the midst of this ever-increasing price for everything because of inflation, somebody is insane, crazy, stupid, moronic enough to lend you money forever for 30 years that will be the only thing in the US economy not to rise with inflation while everything else does? If that were true, inflation would become your best friend. It would constantly erode the real value of your loan. Not possible. It's too much of a gift. Then they pick up their phones, they do a little search, and they see we really have 30-year fixed rate loans in this country. And they say, we don't understand. Why don't the Americans drop everything and run and get as many of these gifts as as possible? It'll change their lives. My answer is always the same. I don't know. I sure did. One of the reasons I'm not retired is I have a message for the Americans who don't see it because they were born into it. The only American that I was in touch with who completely gets it is Warren Buffett. I was in touch with him in 2012 and he gets it. But he's already very wealthy. Yeah, he's worth 136 billion as of the last count. And so I feel it's my duty almost to share this message with you. It's a life-changing proposition, and you don't have to wait for 30 years. 30 years is just a name, 30-year fixed rate loan. Let me give you one of thousands of examples of what it looks like. I get a call from one of my investors, and he says, remember me? I bought homes with you guys when I was in my early 40s. I started with one home because I was very busy in Silicon Valley, and I wanted to see that the managers really take care of everything because I didn't have time to manage homes or fix any toilets or anything like that. I saw that, yes, they took care of everything. It was fine. And so I bought more homes. I bought more and more. I totally understood what you explained to me about the 30-year fixed rate loan. So I put the minimal down payments to get as much of the 30-year fixed gifts as I could. I ended up buying 19 homes. Again, not as impressive as it may sound. At the time he was buying them, he was buying brand new homes, because we started buying only brand new, and I'll explain a little bit about that in a few minutes. He was buying brand new homes for $160,000 a piece, putting the minimal down payment for a highly paid Silicon Valley engineer. That was not very hard. So he said, last year, I turned 55. I looked at my 19 homes and I realized, even though I started out with big loans relative to the home prices, yes, because I put the minimal down payment, after 13 years in this case, my loans were only about 26%, 25% in some cases of the home value. That's what inflation does to a loan that never changes with inflation, but everything else does. The rents, the prices of the houses, nothing just goes out in a straight line. It can go up and down, but over time, oh my God, in the area that I live, to buy a good home will cost $2 million. 35 years ago, you could buy that home for $100,000. Inflation, you know. I mean, okay, so he said, I realized I have 19 homes with tiny loans. So first of all, I realized I have millions of dollars in equity. I was very happy. I was rich. And then I took 4 of the 19 homes and I sold them. I didn't do anything special, didn't do a 1031 exchange, nothing like that. I paid my long-term capital gains, all the taxes I needed to pay. And then I used the proceeds to pay off the remaining small 15 loans. And now, with 15 free and clear homes, I retired from my Silicon Valley job at 55. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is one story out of many thousands that I have. I recently sent both my kids to college. You know, you take one of your homes where the loan is already very tiny, or maybe it doesn't have a loan anymore. It'll pay for more than 4 years of college with tuition, housing, and everything. And if you bought a lot of houses, you don't even feel that the house is missing. This is a life-changing proposition. The 30-year fixed rate loan is insane and a gift that needs to be shared. I started all of this back then when I was at Hewlett-Packard at age 29. Today I'm 69, 40 years. Why am I not retired if I've bought so many homes? I could have retired at around 42, 43. Well, I'm not retired. Don't have any interest in retiring. I have a message burning in my bones, which I want to share with you. They are giving you the greatest financial gift in the world. The 30-year fixed rate loan never changes with inflation. Everything else does. The cost of the avocado, the rent, everything goes up all the time. Unbelievable. It will change your life. Go out and get it. And that starts to color what you invest in. The miraculous gift called 30-year fixed rate loan is only given on 1 to 4 residential units. So it's only single family homes, duplex, triplex, fourplex. You go to 5 units, no 30-year fixed rate loan. Right away is the reason why I don't buy apartment complexes. There are many other reasons for that too, but we may not have the scope to talk about it. If we do, I'll mention it. 1 to 4 residential units. My favorite is the single family home. Single family home is still the American dream. In many cities, it's still relatively affordable. In some cities, it's not affordable anymore. But single family homes, families, kids, a dog, a yard, and there are markets in the country where it's affordable. I don't want to buy out of state just for the sake of buying out of state. I want to buy in places where it makes sense. So obviously in the area where I live, I'm not going to buy a $2 million home that will only rent for about $6,000 a month. I'm saying only, not because 6,000 is cheap because 6,000 is cheap relative to 2 million. So I would rather buy in markets where today I can buy home maybe for 270,000 brand new, and they will rent for 1,700 a month or 1,800 a month. This is actually high rent. So I buy out of state because the numbers work, because it's affordable, and because also the law. For example, there are 2 states in the country where the laws are really against the landlord. Those 2 states are called New York and California. So if you, God forbid, have a tenant that doesn't want to pay and doesn't want to leave the home, you could be in trouble because the law is not your friend. On the other hand, many other states, if God forbid, you have to have an eviction, it happens within a few weeks. Pro-business states. I like to buy in what I call the Sun Belt states. I've been a student of the demographics in the US for decades. Sun Belt states are states like Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. I do not invest in the North, in Michigan, in Indiana, in Ohio. I don't. Because if you study the demographic trends, and you can even just look at the census, it's very clear where the growth is going. It's going to the Sun Belt states. So for me, the criteria of where to buy, number 1, Sun Belt states. Number 2, I like to buy in large metropolitan areas, or at least close to large metropolitan areas, because of economic and job diversity. Number 3, like to buy in the suburbs, families, kids, stable, nice. And number 4, I discovered pretty early on that I would rather buy brand new homes. Now, I wrote a series of articles for investment magazine, some of them for Linda's Realty411. I'd be very happy to share them with you. One of them explained the benefits of buying brand new homes over buying non-brand new homes. So I'm not going to get into it now. If you want to get those articles, there's even an article in Entrepreneur magazine that discusses my interaction with Warren Buffett about the 30-year fixed rate loan. I'd be happy to share it with you. Last year, I was invited to do a TEDx talk. Of course, I talked about this. It's only 11 and a half minutes. And very thankfully, I already have more than 1 million views. Be happy to share a link to this. And then I was invited to do a PBS or public television special, which I'll also be happy to share with you. So if you want to get those magazine articles, links, the TEDx, just send us an email at info@icgre.com. info@icgre.com, and we'll send it to you. So when I decided not to retire, I had to find a balance in my life. So I make music in my home studio, which is in another room. You can find my music actually in all the platforms, just plug in my name. I actually have a health and wellness podcast where I interview great experts from all over the world in the hope of getting good information for all of us about longevity, fitness, diet, how to, so it's really fun. But then I dedicate more than half my time to meet with you. I love it because I feel like I'm changing lives. So I'm always happy to meet with people. In fact, I don't charge for it. If you want to talk to me specifically about your situation, send us an email, info@icgre.com. So, again, I don't see myself retiring, at least for now. I have no plans on retiring. And by the way, just to get some perspective, Warren Buffett is 93. In August, he's going to turn 94. He's still working full time. He's worth $136 billion. So, retiring, it's really almost funny that I helped so many thousands of people retire so well. And then I myself, as they say, the shoemaker walks without shoes. I'm not interested. I love this. I love what I do. I love speaking to you now. It's all life changing. So that's why buying brand new single family homes in the suburbs of large metropolitan area in the Sun Belt, and having a local property management firm, which in our case is already managing maybe 1,000 homes for us, managing your home. So obviously they care to please you very much, because they care to please me and my company, because they've gotten so much business from us, and maybe, who knows, they can get hundreds more homes in the future. And then your job is to buy the home, put a relatively small down payment, get a 30-year fixed rate loan, let the local manager lease the home, and then proceed to do the hardest action for a human being to do. Nothing. Just wait. Give it 10, 12, 14 years, it will change your life. And whenever people call me 12 years later, 15 years later, to tell me, oh my God, I bought 9 homes, can you believe it? Now I have so much equity, blah, 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 blah. They always say one sentence, always. And I say too, even though I'm our biggest buyer, I should have bought more. Because as the years go by, this thing becomes painfully linear. Let's say you bought 10 investment homes, and you and I are talking 14 years from now, and you say, oh my God, my loans were so tiny, I sold 3 of the homes, I paid off the 7 free and clear, I'm so happy. I should have bought more. Because if 10 homes made your wealth become X, 15 homes would make your wealth become X.5. 20 homes, 2X, linear. So you'll always say, I wish I'd bought more. So one way to combat it from the get-go is put a small down payment, which also allows you to get a bigger gift, the 30-year fixed rate loan, which never changes. Now, a question that many people have is the following. But wait a second, everybody in the media on TikTok and TikTok and TikTok and TikTok and is telling me that interest rates are way too high and I shouldn't buy and I should. Oh, okay, fine. The media makes every phenomenon 100 times bigger because they need headlines. And I've talked to the media a lot. They interview me quite a bit and they tell me negative news, we get more clicks with negative news. So they say, oh my God, the rates are so high. The rates are 7, and just 3 years ago, the rates were 3 or even less than 3. Well, in the 40 years that I've been doing it, 7 is actually very low. When I began investing in the 1980s, remember those 22 homes in Vegas? Do you know what the interest rates were? 14. 14. You can look it up. 14%. A couple of years earlier, they were 18. So you don't have to be a great mathematician to realize that when I put minimal down payment, 10% back then, and my rates were 14, every single home I bought started out with a negative cash flow. Negative! Oh my God! But I read Tall Dad, Short Dad, and it said, no, oh, okay, fine. Every home started with a negative. But I had a very clear idea. Even at 14%, these were fixed rate loans. They would never change, but the rents would change and go higher. I'm only starting with negative, I told myself. In a year, 2, 3, it'll be break even, then positive, then more positive, because the rents go up with inflation, like the cost of the avocado or the bread or everything else. So my question to myself was, can you afford the negative on the 22 homes? And my answer was absolutely yes. I was making a very good income at Hewlett-Packard Labs. I was a single guy. My expenses were very, very minimal. Of course, I could afford it. And indeed, that's exactly what happened. After a couple of years, it all became break even. A couple more years became positive. But then something else happened. Interest rates went down to 12. I refinanced everything to 12, and it really became positive. And then came the unforgettable day. Unforgettable. The media was screaming, single-digit interest rates. We all ran out and refinanced to 9.95. What a day that was. And everything became super positive. Makes me laugh so hard when people say, oh, the rates are 7, it's so high. Oh, I laugh. By the way, in the example that I gave you about the Silicon Valley guy, when he was buying his homes, his rates were 8.25. So it always works because the miracle of the fixed rate loan. But let's think about it logically. From today, moving forward, interest rates can do one of three things. They can go higher, they can remain the same, or they can go lower. I believe I covered all possibilities. Well, what happens if they remain the same? All the benefits that I described about getting the insane gift called 30 years fixed happen to you. Inflation constantly erodes the real value of your loan, builds equity for you, the rents with the years go up, giving you better and better cash flow, everything, all the good stuff. They build your future, they change your future slowly. Give it 12 to 14 years, but it'll change your future radically. What happens if the rates go higher? All these benefits happen, except you also feel really good about yourself because you say, oh, the market rate is at 9, my rate is at 7, I feel so good. What happens if the rate go lower? You refinance. People will say, but refinancing costs money. Lenders know how to build it into the loan, and it's a very simple calculation. Does it pay to refinance or not? It's always a good time to buy single-family homes with 30-year fixed rate loans. Doesn't matter what the rates are. The rates could be 20. The rates could be 2. Does not matter. So when somebody says, I'm going to wait until the rates go down, no, buy now, refinance if they ever go down. You don't know the future. If they go down, refinance. Now, let me tell you a point from the trenches, from the field, that the media might not know it, might not know. 3 years ago, when the interest rates were super low, when a homeowner could get a loan at 2.6% or 2.5 even, and investors even who get higher rates could buy for 3.4, 3.5, even 3.25 sometimes. Guess what? The media made everything 100 times bigger. So the media was yelling, the rates are insanely low, go buy, buy, buy. And what did everybody want to do? Buy, buy. So millions of would-be homeowners went out and said, I want to buy a home. The rates are so low, want to buy. So let's talk about new homes just as a segment, which I like to buy, but it's true for everything. So the builders got much more demand than they had supply. So the supply was low, especially supply was still suffering from the COVID supply chain issues. So supply was low, demand was unbelievably high, prices shot up like crazy. As you know, later they went down when the media was selling that the rates are higher, and so you know all of that. So the builders, when the rates were super low, said, look, I have much more business than I can handle. I can afford to be picky. I refuse to work with investors. I only want to work with homeowners. They get attached to the home, they love it. An investor could be fickle, he could find or she, could find another deal. So during the time when interest rates were super low, we were standing in waiting lists, waiting to even get the chance to buy a home. Finding homes were difficult. And if you bought non-new homes just in the marketplace, multiple offers, that was very difficult to buy. What does it look like today when the rates are 7? The media has convinced millions of unsophisticated home buyers that the rates are too high and they should wait and sit on the sidelines. And they are. So now demand is not so high. In the meantime, in those years, the builders worked very hard to make supply higher. So now the supply is good, demand is low, builders are nice and friendly, sellers in general are nice and friendly. They might even pay some extra for you to pay down the rate. They may give you some benefit. It's a fantastic time to buy. It's doable, it's easy, it's welcoming. Guess what will happen if rates go down again? I have some suspicion that it may not go back again to the crazy lows of 3% or less even. That was because of COVID. But let's say it even goes down to 4. guess what's going to happen? The media is going to pump everybody up. Millions of would-be home buyers would attack the market. Again, the competition would be there. The price would be sky high, would be hard to buy. Buy now. It's a great time to buy. Rates go down, refinance. Now, when should you start investing? Obviously, this is a long-term proposition. Let's assume it will take 12 to 14 years to completely change your future. Well, the earlier you start, the younger you'll be when the 12 to 14 years go by. I'm happy when people call me when they're younger than 60, but I do get a lot of tech people calling me at 35 and 29 and 41. It's fine, very good. Doesn't matter when you start. I have people even starting in their 70s. My oldest investor started investing a few years ago at 84. This year, she's going to turn 88, a retired physician. Why did she start buying single-family homes with 30-year fixed-rate loans when she was 84? Well, number one, because she's very healthy. And number two, there's another anomaly in the US, and it's called the step-up basis. Look it up. Step-up basis, like stepping up on a stair. So to make it very short, on the day that you pass away, and we are all going to die at some point, the basis for taxes goes up, steps up to the value of the home on the day of your death. The next day, when your heirs got all your properties, if they want to sell them, they will pay zero tax for most of the times, unless super wealthy, that's in the detail, but 99% of people will pay zero tax because the basis is the value. So the next day they sell the home, they pay for the sales price minus the basis, but the basis is stepped up to the value. I know it's very fast. Look it up. That's why at 84, she started buying. She was exposed to the power of the step-up basis when her late husband passed away. And she saw everything passed on to her on a stepped-up basis. So now she's buying for herself and for her children and grandchildren, which will get the properties on a stepped-up basis. It's a crazy country. So many benefits to buying real estate. Now, what does it mean to be able to change your life while doing very little? You're buying brand new homes in good areas that are managed by local property management, rented to families with kids. You could be a busy person, you could have a career, you could be a truck driver, a teacher, a Silicon Valley person, a lawyer, a doctor, doesn't matter, you're busy, you don't have to do much. You have brand new homes, it's so easy to do. And yet, when I get invited to speak for investment groups, I hear the love to complicate. And I know about the love to complicate. I'm a Silicon Valley guy. All these people love to complicate. I love to, it took me many years to simplify. I love to simplify, not to complicate. So I hear people talking, and then I bought and I fixed and I rehabbed, then I did a 1031 into a chicken coop, and then I sold a chicken coop for a triplex, and I bought an apartment. Oh my God! To do all those things well, you're gonna have to hopefully do it full time. If you have a real job and you do it on the side, you will compete with the pros. But to buy single family homes that are new, that a manager is managing it for you, and another, and you even have the layer of us that if we email the manager about your home, what happens? Why didn't you? They will respond because you carry the power of 1,000 homes. That should dictate that most people should buy the most powerful investment. The single family home, brand new in the suburbs of a large metropolitan area, a property management firm is managing it for you. We will hold your hand, and you don't have to do anything besides that. You don't have to buy chicken coops and 1031 exchanges and how you bought a small apartment complex, but then you had to evict the tenant. Oh my goodness. And for the small apartment complex, you couldn't get the 30-year fixed rate loan, could you? Why complicate? Simplify. And the simplification will also change your life, make you retire well, send your kids to college, no matter how busy you are. Open your eyes. That's why I'm not retired. Dump the complication, dump the craziness. By the way, for 35 years now, I started about 5 years in, my company has an event. We call it the ICG Expo. And it was a live event near the San Francisco airport. Large venue, beautiful place. I would bring the teams, the market teams that we work with, to talk, to show us their PowerPoints, to show us their properties. Some of the managers might come, we meet them. Beautiful days. Since COVID, we are doing it by Zoom. And so we cut it to 4 hours every quarter. The next event is on May the 18th, Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific. It's very convenient for people Pacific, East Coast, and even other continents and countries which they join us. You are all welcome to join the event. It's free. Again, I like to simplify. And all you have to do is either send us an email, info@icgre.com, saying you want to come, or you register directly on our website, icgre.com, under events. It's free. You're going to hear the market team speaking, showing their properties. You'll see the numbers. I'll take many, many questions, and I bring expert speakers. For the May 18th events, the experts that I'm going to bring, one of them is going to talk about insurance. These days, insurances are very touchy, so it's very good to have an insurance expert talk about it. I'm going to have a person who is a specialist on reverse mortgages and how the new type of reverse mortgages can really help a lot of people. And the third speaker is a very ingenious financial planner talking about your overall picture. And then, like I said, I'll take a lot of questions. May the 18th, totally free. Register at icgre.com under events. Now, all of those things, and by the way, when I send you the materials, the articles, the TEDx talk, the TV show, I think I should also send you a link to one of my books, one of the recent books, which would be a good reference. But remember, so many real estate investors get bogged down in the complication. To be a good rehabber, a good fixer-upper, a good flipper, not the dolphin, you'd benefit the most if you're a pro. And I even know pros that sometimes try to do a rehab and the market works against them and they spend a lot of money and time and it doesn't work. But buying brand new single family homes is so easy. So which markets in the Sun Belt? Well, we bought many thousands of homes over the years in Vegas, Phoenix, Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio, Huntsville, Nashville, Denver, Salt Lake City, Mobile, in Atlanta, in Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, etc. Many of those markets don't work right now. Our biggest market ever is the Phoenix metropolitan area, where over 21 years, our investors bought more than 3,000 homes. I bought a lot of homes, personally. But Phoenix is not appropriate right now. The prices have gone up much faster than rent. So today, to buy good new homes in Phoenix suburbs will easily be 450 or 500,000, and the rent will only be about 2,500. It doesn't work. So Vegas, Phoenix, Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio, Huntsville, Nashville, Denver, Salt Lake, all the markets I just mentioned don't work right now. They don't work. So what does work? Not many, but we don't need, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is buying a nice new home and putting a 30-year fixed rate loan on it. Where is a secondary consideration? So the Oklahoma City market is good. If you look, it's in the middle of the country, not far from Dallas on a US scale. Prices are cheaper than Dallas, rents are close to Dallas. Property taxes, 250% lower than Dallas, and insurances are very reasonable. And we have bought more than 2,000 homes there in the past 20 years. Works very well. Tulsa, Oklahoma is okay too. Mobile, Alabama works. The most expensive market we are in is Raleigh-Durham, the Research Triangle in North Carolina. We are buying in Central Florida, not Orlando, it's too expensive, but northeast and south of Orlando. So what are the prices these days for brand new homes? In Oklahoma City, it's anywhere from about 220, 230, 240 to about 290. You can buy homes for 250. It's quite easy. Brand new homes. Like I said, they will rent maybe for 1,700, something like that. They will show you the exact number, and I can connect you to them. They can send you sheets of properties. Mobile, Alabama homes will be close to 300,000. Raleigh-Durham anywhere from 300 to maybe 360, the most expensive. In Central Florida, also the high 200s. It doesn't matter. You just want to buy a single family home, brand new, put a relatively small down payment, and put a 30-year fixed rate loan on it to change your future. Now, Fannie Mae gives the best fixed rate loans, 30-year. They don't really give it. They determine the rules for the secondary market. We call them Fannie Mae loans. Banks give you these loans. Fannie Mae, in its infinite lack of wisdom, is limiting the number of loans an individual can have to 10. If you're a married couple and you both work and gain, so each of you can qualify on a loan. This is not a loan on $1 million home, a loan on a $260,000 home. You can each qualify separately. Fannie Mae lets you buy the home in both your names, married couple like you'd like to, but put only one of your names on the loan. If you do that, you make the ceiling go from 10 to 20. And you say, maybe now when you're listening to me, who's going to buy 10 homes? Who's going to buy 20 homes? You'll be surprised. When people get going and they see that it's easy, they don't have to do much, it's not that expensive, they quickly say, oh my God, we've reached 10. I wish we didn't put both the names on the loan. And they let you do that. So you may want to start, you buy one loan in the wife's name, one loan in the husband's name, and you take the title as husband and wife. So that's just one little tip. Now, let me see. I see questions here and comments. Linda, I was wondering if you guys can send me those, because while I'm speaking to read it, and it's too much. So I'll be happy to answer your questions. Either, Linda, can you please copy and send it to me, or you guys can send me an email, info@icgre.com. I'll be happy to respond. Again, if you want to talk to me specifically about your situation, your case, I love doing that because I feel like I'm changing your future. Again, send us an email, info@icgre.com. Please register to our quarterly expo on May the 18th, Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific to 2 p.m. Pacific. Register for free at icgre.com under events. Now, once again, I would like to highlight simplicity. I see so many people, and then I meet them again 15 years later, and they literally cry, literally with tears, because they never did very much, because they were going to rehab and change and flip, and they were too busy, they never did anything. Single family homes, brand new, 30-year fixed rate loan. Property manager does it for you. Doesn't matter how busy you might be. Out of the more than 10,000 homes that people bought with us, more than 2,000 came from people who live on another continent, thousands of miles away, sometimes not even speaking English very well. That's fine for them too. Should you go and visit the homes you're buying? Oh, absolutely. I love it when you do that. Unfortunately, after COVID, most people don't bother going. And people say, look, we have the satellite, I can see, they can, okay. But if people go and visit, I really like that. That's always a nice thing, maybe just the first time out. So I will be available to help you. I am very gratified to talk to you. And let's see, again, those are questions I will be happy to take. I will cover one little point that people ask me a lot. People ask me, what about buying Airbnbs in vacation locations? Well, in the years before Airbnb came to life, they used to just call it vacation rentals. When the economy is fine, is strong, vacation rentals can do well. Again, you have to find good management because it's really managed more like a hotel. That's a very difficult kind of management, very different, but it's doable. But when the economy goes down or when there is a recession, the first properties to stand vacant are those Airbnbs in vacation rental areas, because vacations are a luxury and they disappear when there is a recession. These were the properties that I saw the bank taking back in each one of the recessions that I've seen, and I've been through a few. And if I have a couple of minutes, I'll even say what to do during a recession. I've been through 3 waves of up and down, recession, boom, recession, boom, recession, boom, including the big recession of 2008, 9, 10, 11. During a recession, the media scares everyone completely. So let's say you have a rental home and your tenants have been saving up money for a down payment to buy their home, their dream home. But all of a sudden there's a recession. The media scares everyone out of their mind. And the people who live in your home, who were planning on giving you notice and buying their own home, are talking to each other. The first word of the conversation is always the word honey. They say, honey, we're not going to buy a home now. There's a recession, we are scared. So they stay and rent. So very paradoxically, during recessions, many tenants, instead of going out and buying, stay and rent. The rents are very stable. So what is your job to do? Nothing. Once again, nothing. Nothing is so powerful. You just stay there. The rent is okay, it's coming in because the tenants are afraid to buy. Then recession is over and prices go up and everything. When people lost properties to banks during recession, it's because they didn't do nothing. And this is just very short. I see that I'm starting to run out of time and I don't want to run out of my time slot. But remember, recessions just do nothing. It's the power of doing nothing is immense. Don't let people complicate your life. Much of the complicated stuff is really for full-time pros, not for you who has a job. But buying solid, new, single-family homes in the suburbs of large metropolitan areas, in the Sunbelt states, and getting 30-year fixed-rate loan with a small down payment, while a local property management company is handling the homes for you, and we are looking over their shoulder, that is easy to do for almost everyone. I welcome you to call us. I'm looking forward to talking to you. Maybe I'll see some of you during our big event on May the 18th. Linda and Desiree, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a massive information. And there's so many different points I wanted to share with you. It's like how the timing is now. Some people do wait because they wait for the interest rates and things of that type. And if you're able to purchase now, how important it is to do now, because you can always refi later. And so forth. All those different things that you said are really important. So I hope everyone took notes and if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. And
there is one question about HOA properties.
Okay. Awesome.
Jay Miller wanted to know, I'm curious if your method would work in Florida in 55 and over gated community properties or in communities with an HOA. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay.
Adiel?
Let's begin with a simple one, communities with HOA. When you buy single family rental homes in a new development, there likely will be an HOA. Why? It's not a condo. These are single family homes. Because if there is anything that the community has, like a shared park or maybe a shared fitness, area, you need an HOA. Plus, the HOA fulfill an important factor. If somebody wants to paint their home black with yellow polka dots, the HOA will say, sorry, if the grass goes too tall, the HOA will say, hey. So actually the HOA makes the entire community look good years to come, which is good for the value of the home. So HOAs are fine. There will always be an HOA, almost always, for brand new homes. But of course, it's very small, maybe 40, 50 bucks a month. Typically, it could be 100. It all depends where you are. But it is worthwhile and it's okay. It works perfectly well. I mean, I own hundreds of homes, and I would say probably 75% of my homes are in a development that has an HOA. No problem. It works the same, works easily. 55-year-old community, there it may be a little bit less desirable to buy. Why? Because I really appreciate buying in the suburbs where families with kids buy, the kids go to school. Every time that happens, it's like putting a stake in the ground. That tenant family is not likely to want to move very fast. The kids are going to school. So buying in 55 and over community may be restrictive. When you go to sell, it's restricted only to a segment of the population. There are going to be no kids going to school. My preference is not to buy in 55 and over.
Okay. Thank you. I guess that answered the question, Linda.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
And I hope that gives you great insight, Jay.
Looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And so now Linda has offered the opportunity for myself and my husband, Gary Zimmerman, to do a short presentation about syndication simplified. Is that still okay with you, Linda, and your schedule?
Absolutely. Take it away.
Well, you have such a responsive audience, so we want to make sure we give them all the content that we can. Okay. All right. So my name again is Desiree Doubrox, and we're presenting to you Syndication Simplified. And this is perfect if you're a realtor or title officer, mortgage broker, or familiar with the industry, or want to learn how you can build your real estate portfolio without any of your own cash or credit. So again, I'm a previous real estate agent, a broker, and investor since 1989. Experience in residential, commercial, fix and flips, multi-residential, triple nets, notes, syndications, and short-term rentals. Also a speaker, publisher, and a podcaster, founder of Empower Women and HomWork. And you are?
I'm Gary Zimmerman, and I'm invested in as an LP and GP in several syndications. And I'm a mechanical engineer, and I have financials and support skills that support our financials and our ability to scale.
Yeah. So some people, like I mentioned earlier, what is a syndication? A syndication simply involves bringing people together, usually between 2 and 10, but sometimes as many as hundreds of investors, and they pool their money together to purchase a property. So there's different types of syndications, yes?
Yep. So what you just mentioned was a real estate syndication where they pool money for a property. There's also venture capital syndications where they pool money to invest in startups and high growth industries. And then there's media syndications, which are the TV reruns you see on TV.
Different types, different types of things. So, but there's 2 primary private placement types that are most popular.
This is securities, because these are considered as securities by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So you fall under the Securities Act of 1933. And mainly what you'll see is Rule 506B and 506C. And 506B, you do not need to be an accredited investor to invest in, but they do not allow advertisements. So you have to have a pre-existing relationship. The 506C is accredited investors only, and that allows for advertising.
Huh. So what's the difference between accredited and a non-accredited?
Okay, so an accredited investor is someone who earns $2,000 a year, or is married $300,000 a year, or has a net worth of $1 million excluding their primary residence. So if you do not meet either one of those criteria, you're considered a non-accredited or a sophisticated investor.
So there's in syndications, there's two types. There's either syndicator, sponsor, or general partner.
Mhm.
And what are they?
So syndicator, sponsor, or general partner is an individual. They're the ones that are acquiring the property. They're doing the due diligence, they're doing the underwriting, and they're finding the deals, and then they're presenting it to the limited partners. So this is the general partner though.
And then that leads us to who are the limited partners.
The limited partners are the individuals that want to invest their money, and they
Mhm.
don't, it's a passive income. So they have nothing to do with the decisions that are made running the property or buying the property or selling the property. They're just investing their money to get a piece of real estate.
And then you also get dividends, and sometimes on a monthly or a quarterly or annual basis.
Yep.
And then they get a percentage of the profits from the
Mhm.
company when it's a capital event, when
Exactly.
it's refinanced or sold. So that's truly passive. You know, the real advantage too is that they can invest in so many different types of real estate. So
Yep.
if you're trying to do it individually, you may not have the expertise or the financing or the credit to be able to participate, but there's a lot of different areas. For example,
Yep. Multi-residential, commercial, industrial, storage units, hospitality, retail, student housing, retirement, land, notes, just about anything to do with most areas of real estate you can syndicate.
and then they can even have a diversified portfolio. So
Yep.
they have a passive income, they can build and diversify their portfolio, they can
Yep.
leverage their resources.
Yep.
It's investing made simple because you simply find on a dotted line.
Yep.
They get chunk money at
At a
the
capital
end.
event. Yep.
Yeah, and then they can pursue their own dreams of having freedom and flexibility, and it recession proofs
Yep.
their future. So that's why you'd want to invest in a syndication. But this is something that's really amazing that a lot of people don't realize. They think, okay, well, maybe I do or don't have that money sitting in my bank account. What are some of the options?
So you can use a self-directed IRA or a solo 140K if it's a self-directed as well. So either one of those funds can be used. There's lots of tax advantages of using those funds, especially if it's a Roth IRA or a Roth solo 401K. So there are lots of people out there that can help you with advice on that. Most of them are the funds themselves, the like equity trust and there's several of them. Yeah,
Invest.
Newview. Yeah.
Yeah. There's the custodians.
Yeah, the custodians can
Mhm.
help you with moving your money into that and then actually helping you get it invested.
And it's in some ways how it's done, it's like there's no taxes. And so that's the
Exactly.
best way to be able to use it to avoid additional taxes.
Mhm.
Taxation.
Yes.
Okay. So now as a syndicator, so if you're thinking, okay, great, I'm interested in investing, but what about if I wanted to be a syndicator? How complicated and how detailed is that?
Well, there's basically three sections to it. There's an acquisition phase, there's a hold phase or a operations phase, and then
Mhm.
there's a capital event, which is the dissolution phase. So this is the acquisition phase. And what you need in order to do this, it's just like acquiring any other real estate. So you need real estate agents. You have to research the properties, you got to underwrite them, you got legal. So they're drawing up your documents. Investors, you got the accounting, escrow, you got to hire a team, you need to do inspections, look at the utilities, renovations, interior design, PR, and then launch it.
And that's it. So if you've been doing real estate in any capacity, basically it's the same thing.
Mhm.
And then while you hold the operations.
Yep. You got asset managers that are going to manage the property for you unless you do it yourself. Investor relations, advertising, admin staff, legal, accounting, and legal again. Property managers, housekeepers, handymen, gardeners, pool service, fumigation, maintenance, anything you have to do with the operations of any rental income you're going to have or rental property you're going to have to do.
So it's again, if you've done it before, you can do it again.
Mhm.
And then
Capital event. So you need to prep the property, do whatever construction you need to finish up. Real estate agents again are going to get involved as you market the property. Appraisals, inspections, disposition, furnishings, moving, legal, and accounting. Again, all the same things as you'll normally do if you're selling a house or selling any other property.
so that's a great thing to know is the fact that you can actually be able to manage, those who have been in real estate can actually do this, become a syndicator. Now, Gary mentioned also you can be a syndication for real estate events, but you can also syndicate in companies, startup companies and things of that type. And that's what we did when we built HomWork. HomWork started 2018, and our concept was live where you work where you live anywhere in the world. And what we specialize, our niche is co-working, co-living. So we find properties, we remarket them and remodel them and remarket them for digital nomads and remote workers. And if that's new to you, co-working and co-living is the practice of sharing living spaces to individuals and with a collaborative and flexible work style. All our properties have usually private bedrooms and bathrooms, but we have a shared co-working space and a shared kitchen space. So it's perfect for people that want that freedom and flexibility. This is an example of one of the properties that we remodeled and remarketed. So that's kind of what co-working and co-living looks like. And we have a couple other videos, but I know that we're in time, and I will glad to invite you to one of our presentations and we'll share it with you. But Nate, now you may be wondering, okay, how do you make money? How do syndicators make money?
Okay.
You want Mr. Numbers guy? You want to share
Okay.
that with us?
Will do.
All right.
So-
So give us an example.
Yeah, so this is just a brief overview, and there's a lot more goes into it, but this is just a general overview of what we can do. So let's say you have a property that you purchased for $2 million and you exit after 4 years. So you held it for 4 years and you exit at 4 million. So you have acquisition fees, which are based on the purchase price, which is these fees can be anywhere between 1% and 5%. We selected 2% for this. So that's a $40,000 you'll get for acquisition fees. That's for doing all the finding the deal and putting it together. If you want to be the loan guarantor of the mortgage, then you can do that. And that is 2% of, we have, again, these could be 2 or 5%. That's 2% of the mortgage, not the 2% of the purchase price. So,
Okay.
and let's say we said it was 1.4 million. So there you're looking at 2% of that. That's 28,000. There's asset management fees. So let's say the property is making $2,000 a month, but you're managing the asset, so you deserve an asset fee for managing that. That's $2,000 times 4 years over the hold. That's 96,000. Operational income. So as long as there's operational income coming from it, then you're going to get a share of that. And then that's 24,000 we estimated for this at 4 years. So that's another 96,000. The technology fee is an operations fee. So that's for the software and computers and stuff that you need. Admin fee is another fee that for your assistance for travel, for anything else the admin needs to do. Then now you're getting into disposition. So this is getting rid of it. So as a disposition fee, getting the property ready and getting it all set up for the sale and following through the sale documents, signing and everything, you're going to get 2% of the disposition, which is with the 2% of the sale price, which is 4 million. So that's $80,000. And then if you had, let's say the property made a profit of, after everything's paid, of 800,000 and you have a 50 equity split with the limited partners, then your portion of that profits would be 400,000. So that gets a total of 783,000.
And that's amazing. I mean, I think a lot of people talk about syndications and being a syndicator, but they don't really break down the financials. And we're talking about anywhere between 1% to 5%. So you use numbers of 2%. So if you doubled that, that would be double that amount over a 4-year period of time. And that's just basically doing something that people that are involved in real estate do anyway. And then if you're a realtor and the commission structure was at 5%, which it could be also at 6%. For the purchase, you get 40,000 and the sale is 120,000. So that's one way to be able to confirm your commissions. And then if you do construction, then they get 3% of the construction cost, the cost that's running construction.
There's also a method of exit where you would refinance the property. You refinance out all of the limited partners, and then you get to keep the asset. So there's another way to do it.
And that's, I mean, like, there's so many different ways that we can show you in our presentation. We have a mastermind that we do. And then the thing is that this is all with what? None of your own money.
Zero money
and
down.
none of your own credit. So say, for example, you're able to acquire, whether it's a $2 million project or even a $200,000 property, that you're able to do it without any of your own money and any of your own credit. So that's what's really powerful about syndications. And that's why I think everybody should at least learn, the details of it, because they'll be pleasantly surprised. And again, there's so many different ways of structuring it where it's even more profitable. And the sky's the limit. Again, you get little or no capital or your own credit. You're able to build your own real estate portfolio, build wealth, and then leave a legacy. And I think at this point, a lot of us are thinking about, okay, how are we going to leave a legacy with our real estate? There's so many different ways of being able to approach it that you can do that. So we do have a program. Again, it's called Syndication Simplified, where we just share with you exactly what we do, what we've been doing, and how.
We'll go a lot more in depth in all of this.
Exactly. This is just a little teaser. We'll go through how the syndications, how to set it up, the legal aspects, identifying a property, how to underwrite it, how to do the accounting, how to raise funds, which is one of the biggest parts of it. You share how to use your retirement funds.
Building your team, managing your asset, investor portals, what we use, tracking the markets, preparing for sale and distributions.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot to learn, but it's, again, if you're involved in real estate, it's not anything you can't do. And a good thing, you don't need a license or anything to do it. What's fun about it is that we do it in small groups. And I'll just give you a quick clip on what did I do? What did I do? Uh-oh. A small clip on. There we go. What it looks like. No.
Oh, is it? Sorry.
All right. The good, the coming. Stay tuned. There we go.
Oh my gosh. Fantastic weekend. Learned so much. My head is just filled with information.
Weekend has been fantastic. I made a lot of good contacts, increased my confidence and my knowledge, and just felt really motivated and ready to go. Did you learn anything? I learned so many things. I learned how to do research. I learned how to build relationships. I learned how to evaluate properties. I learned a lot about documentation. Learned about right questions to ask with advisors.
What I learned in the sky's the limit.
Learned a lot of different aspects about syndication, legal aspects, what to look for. So yeah, I'm excited to just get to work.
Make sure you have a supportive group and team around you so that you can be successful in investing and building passive income. Because it's all about legacy and generational wealth as well. So just very excited to be here, privileged to have this opportunity, and thankful to the excellent teachers, Desiree and Gary.
So that gives you an idea. What we love about the fact that is that it's a small group. You only work with 5 or 6 people at a time. You're with us from Friday
night.
Friday night until Sunday evening, and some of you that are traveling until Monday morning, all your food, all your accommodations, everything is included. So if you want to hear more about it, just tap that QR code or email me at Desiree@homwork.com. And that way we can simply tell you what is next and how to get involved. Again, we have complimentary consultations, webinars almost every week, and then we go into more detail. And then if you'd like to join us for a mastermind, again. What else do you have to say?
Thanks for listening. Hope you find syndications intriguing.